All right. Sorry, guys. We're having technical issues, which I expected, by the way. Just to apologize. I did expect this our first time going around, so um, we're gonna give it one more shot, and like if it's still having issues, we'll try again another time. I'm gonna try to do these more, just to give you guys a heads up, but I don't want this to be annoying. So we'll give it one more shot. And if we disconnect again, just know that I won't be coming back on. And I'll see you guys another time after that. But unfortunately, I already saw like it had the recording, so it has like the 2 hour recording, and then now I'm starting a new one, so that kind of messes up the VODs. But anyways, we'll get back going here. Okay, so what I wanted to do was kind of focus on more on your actual beliefs, because I kind of got us off track with the science part, I think, about um the age of the earth and all those kind of things. So I blame myself for that one. But I kind of would like to know of why do you like believe God is true? And it sounds like you're actually more leaning towards Christianity, right?
Well, I sympathize with Christianity. I Unlike Islam, I do believe Christ is potentially someone through whom God spoke. Um, Now again, I'm not going to say I know God spoke through Christ or the other prophets, but that is striking me as a much more plausible you know pathway than some of the other religions.
Why is that? Do you think?
Well, again, when basically when I read the words of Christ and his teachings and things like that, it just strikes me as something that God would actually reveal through someone. And what we can know about Christ's life, which isn't very much, but it seems to me like he was being honest when he uh, was talking about what he was being revealed.
The only and let me give you my background real fast, because I was like a full just gung ho believer in Christianity
Mhm.
for most of my life. Um, but once I started looking into what I needed to prove it, this is when
Mhm.
I started to question it more, because as you see, I'm a person that would likes to go debate. So I would want to go debate some of my friends or anyone that I'm dealing with socially about Jesus and the Bible. And once I started studying it, the first thing I found out is we have no clue if these are actually Jesus's words. And to my question to you is, how could we know that this is actually what Jesus spoke?
Well, when you use the word "no," that's actually a tricky philosophical concept because if you in philosophy, we can't even really know that we're actually experiencing a real reality around us. We could be in the matrix. So no is a difficult word. And let me just start off by saying that even if every line of the Bible was disproven and shown to be a myth or a false, fraudulent, I would still believe in God because my belief in God isn't based on the Bible or the teachings of what is in the Bible. It's based on analysis of reality itself. But I do see the Bible as potentially something that God it does contain the revelations of God. So you asked,
Well, didn't
why
you
do I
kind of
believe?
say both things there, right? You said at one point that, or did you correct me if I'm wrong? I thought I heard you say at one point it is the words of God, but before that you said that it's possibly not.
Well, you can believe something's the word of God, but also acknowledge that it might be fake or untrue. Um, like it could be something a story that was made up. So I do not believe that. I believe that you know, the words of Christ recorded in the Gospels are what he said, more or less, and that they're not just a fake story made up by people 2,000 years ago. So why do I believe that Jesus said these things, or how do I know? Was your question? Well,
When you say no, let's just say I don't know, man, because
what is my reason for
I agree with you that you can't know 100%. So hopefully
right?
you know
So
what I mean. Yeah,
you're asking what's my reason for believing that, right?
sure. Let's go with that. Okay, that sounds better.
Okay,
Yep.
so see, I actually also did an analysis of how do we actually know that that Jesus actually said these things. And I will admit that also, like you, when I looked into the record we have, it's pretty sparse. There's actually no proof that Jesus said these things, anything in the Bible, Gospels, any of it.
Okay.
But I will say that there are some historical clues that these are reliably. The first thing I come to is I believe Jesus was a real person. So first for me, I established that I believe Jesus really existed as a human being and that he's a historical figure. He's not a myth. So in my mind, and I'm not saying how. I'm just going to go through the process I went through. When I
Okay.
really looked into this, I asked myself, did Jesus really exist as a human being? Because if he's a made up figure, then of course none of it's true. And so I analyzed like the idea of mythicism, and what I came to is that mythicism doesn't make sense. Now, did Jesus perform miracles and rise from the dead and do all those things? That's unprovable. But did he actually exist as a human being? I think there's strong evidence to suggest that he did actually exist as a human being. Um,
I'll go ahead and agree that there was at least someone that the character was made from.
right. So there's a lot of people in history who we know existed, but who were later mythologized. Like even Pythagoras and people like the Buddha. Like people don't doubt these people existed, but all these kinds of stories were made up after they died about how they were miracle workers and things like that. Even a lot of the Catholic saints that we know existed. Actually, you can't be sanctified until the church confirms multiple miracles in your name or whatever. But we don't doubt these people existed. What skeptics will doubt is that they actually had any miracles attributed to them. So I would say the same thing. Do I think Jesus Christ exists as a human being? Yes. Do I believe that he, turned water into wine and rose from the dead? That's not something I can possibly prove. But
Well,
I
but
think
wait,
it's
do
easy.
you believe it
Go ahead.
though?
Do I believe it?
Yes.
I don't really. For me personally, I actually think some of it might be more symbolic. I don't. Some of that
Okay.
things. Jesus spoke in parables. So to me, whether Jesus actually rose from the dead isn't central to my faith. To me, the teachings of Jesus about like relationship to God, that's what I focus on. If he was brought
What?
back from the dead,
Okay.
go ahead.
No, no, go,
If he
go.
was
You're
brought
good.
back from the dead, that wasn't to me. That was a sign that God gave that he was anointed. It's not something that you have to believe or you're not a Christian. Now, a lot of Christians are going to disagree with me on that.
Yes, a
That's why,
lot.
right?
Okay.
But um,
Yes.
but anyways, uh, but the point is, why why do we think Jesus said things recorded in the Gospels? There's a couple people. There's a guy named Papias, and
Yep.
not many people know who that is. But he was a second century, basically Christian historian. So they were talking early 100s, maybe mid 100s. This is when this guy kind of wrote his, and he claims to have. Again, his works do not survive, but he was quoted in church fathers. He claimed to have met people who were personally acquainted with the apostles and spoken to them about what Christ taught. So
Yeah.
there's
So
people
does
like
so
it.
so does Paul. Like
Right,
Paul never met Jesus. Like we don't even have to go that far. We are sorry. We don't
right,
have to go into the and you know what I mean. We can go
right,
further back.
exactly.
And Paul, I don't know if Paul's telling the truth.
Well, see, this is the thing. I think Paul.
And I
I
think our
don't.
Christianity, our current one, is not even Jesus's Christianity. It's Paul's.
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're yeah. See, you're onto it. You understand? Like this. That's my opinion too. I think Paul. I actually think Paul was a false apostle that overthrew the teachings of Christ and established his own church, and he even writes about this in the epistles.
Oh, wait, you
So
believe that?
yeah, yeah, I do. See, a lot of people don't understand.
So wait, why do you believe why do you believe any of it then?
Well, you can believe in Jesus and not see. There's the thing: the church built up this foundation, the structure over the teachings of Christ. See, they're the ones who put. A lot of Christians don't understand the history of the Bible. The Bible wasn't something that existed during the time of Jesus. When I'm talking about the Old
No,
Testament and the New
sure,
Testament.
sure. Bible,
So the New
even the
Testament,
Bible is not the Bible. Like it's,
right?
it's yeah.
The, the, New,
Anyways, yeah,
the New
yeah.
Testament was a creation of the Catholic Church hundreds of years after Jesus Christ. They were the ones who put Paul's epistles alongside the Gospels and said, "This is all we have to believe. All of this." It wasn't the apostles who did that. To the extent we know what they taught at all. Um, but you have to go like 300-400 years before you start getting church councils about what the canon is.
Sure, but
And these
let's
people,
just go ahead and like let's forget what we agree on, right? Like
uh,
me, like it sounds like me and you agree that a lot of this crap was made up, right?
it's not that it was made up. It's that the structure that was built, the institution that was constructed, didn't reflect original Christianity. Original
Okay,
Christianity was the
so
so.
let's
But the
talk
point
about
is,
Jesus then.
right? The
Okay,
point is, there are people who some people will say they never existed, but there are people who knew the people who knew Jesus. Okay. And we don't doubt
supposedly.
supposedly, but we don't doubt. There are more people saying that Paul never existed, but at some point it just gets ridiculous. Okay, the point is, Paul says he met apostles. Even Josephus mentions people who were associated with Jesus. Or very early Christian writers, theologians, and historians talked about the reality of people who met Jesus, like the guy who was crucified and became the central figure of Christianity.
The only
So
one I
to me,
know of, the Josephus one is the only one I count as far as outside of the Bible. I'm forgetting what word to use at the moment. I apologize. Um, but that's and Josephus technically is still like not the best witness because Josephus is also a part of the like the culture. I would rather have heard somebody like some Roman um journalist, a writer, a historian of the time mention Jesus. So it's like to me, there's still a possibility that Jesus did not exist.
there's a possibility for sure, but I
Like a
think,
big one, by the way, because he's
well,
like
that's where I disagree.
I understand, but for Jesus to have been Jesus, the Jesus that I grew up on would have been like a rock star in a way. And we know this by a lot of the stories of Jesus. He was followed around by crowds. So they would have written about Jesus, like Rome would have writings of Jesus. And if they killed him, they for sure would have had writings about killing this rock star that was trying to take down the Roman Empire. They definitely would have boasted about that. So to me, this all ties into why the story is just probably made up because there would have been no reason for Rome to not mention that they killed Jesus. They didn't even Jesus didn't win, right? Like when we really look at the story, Jesus lost. Like he came, he didn't conquer anything. They killed him. They would have been like, "Yes, this is what happens when y'all mess with us." And nothing is said about it. We only have stories from his surrounding people and his surrounding group. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, yeah, that's all, you know, reasonable. I would say that, well, I was going back to well, the reason I brought up Papias originally is because another thing we learned from Papias, and by the way, I would say there are Roman historians who mention sect of Christianity as being something that arose very quickly.
Yeah,
so,
I agree.
so you have Tacitus mentioning, Nero persecuting the Christians in 60 AD or 66 AD. Okay. So this was a large enough group of people by the mid first century that they were being blamed for disasters in Rome and being persecuted for it. So clearly there was a fervor that arose very early, and I would say a timeline that makes sense for Christianity. Now, they didn't mention Jesus himself, but they mentioned the people who were following Jesus as being a large group
But
by the
isn't that
mid.
important though? Like
Well,
let's just
yeah, I
like
realize.
it'd be like Martin Luther King's excuse me story. Like when we talk about Martin Luther King, they mention Martin Luther King. They don't just mention the people that were around him, right? Like there's
Yeah, you gotta
story.
understand. But to
He,
Rome, you gotta understand to Rome that what was going on that area of the world was basically meaningless to them. So they're not spending their time in Judea. They're spending their time in like Rome and more important places in Byzantium and things like that. So it doesn't surprise me that Roman authors don't really care about what's going on in that part of the world. But that's why I do think the gospel themselves, there is evidence to me that they are based on either reliable witnesses or not witnesses, reliable sources, or people who copied those reliable. So I believe Mark is that's where Papias comes in. He was the one who tells us that Mark was an assistant to Peter in his evangelical travels. Um, and
but
that Mark was.
you don't believe that we actually know the writers though, right?
I believe we can rely. I believe that there's good evidence that Mark actually wrote the first gospel. That comes to us from a second century historian. So and you can say, oh, he's a Christian historian. Maybe he's a Christian because he that was the
So
facts pointed
then
out to him.
why wouldn't and maybe this ties into what you were saying before. Why would they not sign themselves as the authors? Why when I pick up my Bible, it tells me that we I don't know the exact words, but it basically tells you that these we're not sure who wrote these.
It's probably because it was, there's a number of reasons I could give. Obviously, I'm not going to be able to know with certainty, but I think that maybe it's because it was just known, popularly known that who wrote these things at that time. So people just knew that Mark wrote Mark, and people knew that, what was written by Matthew. People knew what was written by Luke, and they didn't feel
But
the need to
but
mention the
during
author's names.
but during that time, that is was the standard. You would say it was you that was writing it. Like we don't question Josephus. Well, some of it we question, to be fair. But we know Josephus wrote it, or sorry, we believe it more. Josephus wrote it. He signs it. He says he wrote it. Now, if we're talking about you meeting God, like I think a lot of people, and maybe not you, but I think a lot of people forget we're talking about people meeting God to say that this wasn't important or that they wouldn't have wrote about it or they wouldn't have took credit for it is kind of insane to me. Like this is God. Like I don't like. I think we look at like, this is kind of gets to my title. I don't know if there are any real believers because we treat God like it's just nothing. Like we're talking about God here, which means there would just be evidence everywhere. Me and you, to me, this is my opinion right now. We would not be having a conversation if God was like real. Like we wouldn't be talking like about like this. God would just be real. Like why is everything so vague? Like why?
Well, yeah, if God, if people's concept of God is like a guy in the sky floating around up there, yeah, that I think that people's concept of God is limited to their, human perspective. Like I think God is a concept that is beyond our ability to understand. Like I think that everything that exists is a reflection of God and, part of God. So we don't realize that, if you're like I've heard of the analogy, like if you're like a little teeny tiny ant on an elephant, you're looking at this little it's like little piece of skin and you're like, what is this? Like, there's no elephant here.
Yeah, but
But that's like,
I couldn't. If the ant's on me, I can't communicate with the ant, and it would be pointless, right?
I think God does communicate to us. I think there's a lot of people throughout history who claim to have seen God and had experiences of God, and I think we should listen to them. Now,
I think
you
God.
can't.
If we go off of history, then I think God is a very bad communicator.
Well, again, it depends on what you're expecting. I mean, if you're expecting a giant sign in the clouds that says "I am God, follow me," like, yeah, we don't have that, but we have
Oh,
a lot of
maybe
people
my
that.
question should be, um,
Like, I think. Let me tell you what I think the best.
do you think there's a point to this? Like, if there's a God, like I'm going off of what you're saying. What is the point of this?
Like, God, what is? Well, God's the creator. I guess he has his reasons. I think maybe he just. Again, I could speculate what God's thoughts are.
I
Maybe he
mean,
just wants.
that's all we're doing, though. We're only speculating.
Well, I think that there's something that goes beyond speculation. To me, the best evidence that God exists is life itself. To me, you need an intelligence. You need something that designs things to get there. You can't get it by just molecules blowing around in space, which is basically Darwin's theory. Is that they
Yeah,
don't put it like.
I kind of disagree with that part because I think nature actually proves more likely not God, and it's because it is so damn complex. And God would not need to be complex.
Yeah, we have to. There are limitations to natural forces that they can't exceed. So it's like thinking that a hurricane created the pyramids. Like it's just not going to happen because it's too
Yes, but a
specific.
hurricane in nature could make something that looks like a pyramid. We have that mistaken all the time.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's fine, but when you talk about the arrangement and precision necessary for life or for something that's specifically arranged, something that's on Gaia can't accomplish that. So you need an intelligence to accomplish that. And
Yeah,
now,
but you would have to be able to prove that though.
well, you can prove it by the likelihood of it happening by chance, and which
Yes,
has been done.
but that's what science says, right? They're the only proof we have is science showing us how nature came to be. Now, science corrects itself all the time. That's just what science is. But we have never found one thing that was not natural.
Well, you're never going to find anything that's not natural because there's
Yes, I,
everything that
no,
exists is within nature. So the distinction would be between intelligently created things and unintelligently created things. So unintelligence is like the bare forces of nature just moving atoms around in space. There's no evidence that can create life at
yes,
all.
but how does a planet form?
But I don't think we know. I really don't think we know.
Well, no, we're pretty sure about the
I don't think we
accretion
are.
disk, like accretion disk. Like we can actually see. Wait, all right, okay. Well, see, this sucks because now it gets back into the science part. Like, do you think that we like the observations we see, like the nebula clusters, we see planets forming now? Like we've seen. Do you not
I mean,
believe that?
we see things that are in different uh, formations, but
Right, but
not.
there's a one I'm really thinking of where it has like the star that's being born, and then you can actually see the solar system being formed, and then you can see these little dark balls starting to rotate inside of the accretion disk, and like those are like planets forming that we're seeing, not in real time. Like, do you not believe that?
I mean that could be something that happens. I'm not denying that gravitational forces could make objects form in space, like giant balls of matter. That's not. But you have to realize there's a big difference between that and even amoeba forming by chance. Just it's beyond our understanding. Like scientists, they can't even take.
What if we had infinite time? Would it happen?
Wouldn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's the forces of nature. They're limited. It's like saying, what if you had infinite time to flap your arms and fly the moon? You wouldn't be able to do it.
That's a funny analogy.
Yeah, it is, but it is. It's there are limitations to these things, and
Okay, but I
if
mean,
you
there's limits, but everything that we explain in science, we're seeing that it doesn't break the limits, right? Like unless we're talking about black holes, and then that's probably a different subject.
well,
Um,
the point is like how does life? When I'm talking about life, I'm talking about organisms we observe on Earth. Okay, and what science does not.
it's based off of a bunch of things, right? Like
Well,
you're not just
there's
made of you're not just made of skin,
right,
right? Like
right,
your
exactly,
skin is made of something, that's made of something, that's made of something. So
and all of that.
it's a bunch of basic ththings built on
Uh,
top of each other. That's the complexity that we we call it complexity, but all of it is all it is a bunch of basic things that just build on top of each other. It doesn't
well,
need a creator. It's
it,
creating itself.
it actually it kind of does because you have to realize for all that to form the right way, it has to be coded into our DNA. Okay, so
Sure,
natural
but
forces are
now we would have to break down what DNA is.
it's a
And
code, right?
it's but it's a bunch of different things that are
Hmm.
on their own. They're not DNA, but when you put them together, they become what we call DNA. So
Exactly.
it's
And
still just these basic things.
did you know that DNA does not form naturally in any known earthly environment? They have to synthesize it in the lab.
It's didn't it start off? It started. We didn't we start off at RNA.
No, no, RNA doesn't form naturally either. These things are synthesized in cells, and with so this is the interesting thing.
Well, wait.
It's a
What do you mean DNA doesn't? That's not true.
right.
DNA
It
doesn't
does
in
yeah.
nature.
There's no natural process that produces DNA as far as we've observed. The only place we observe it being produced is within pre-existing cells. So,
Wait,
or
but I don't know about that one, man, because that's
yeah,
literally that
actually,
is
I have a
literally
video.
what like what DNA is.
I
It's
have a video channel about it.
it's these things that we're talking
Right.
about.
If the thing is, DNA nucleobases have to be synthesized in pre-existing cells. Like, there's no natural process out there where you're just going to find
Yes.
DNA floating around.
Well, the first like the first single cell, right? Or like
Mhm.
what was that? What are you saying was
They
there?
don't
Like
know. It would have required, see, for it to be a cell, it would have to be able to self-reproduce, but it can't do that without DNA. And DNA doesn't exist on its own.
no, I think
So
they're no, I don't think you need DNA to start.
you do. As far every single living organism on Earth has DNA. There's no
I think
exceptions.
yeah, you're talking about what I'm talking about is abiogenesis. I don't
Well,
think you
it's
need that.
yeah, you do. For as far as we know, all living organisms, all self-reproducing organisms need DNA. It's essential to the replication process in the cells. So there's no examples of a self-reproducing organism
Yeah,
that doesn't
there
have
it is.
DNA.
Like so like just a quick search real fast, man. So
Mhm.
abiogenesis is the neutral process by which life arises from non-living matter,
Okay,
such as simple organic compounds
right.
occurring on the earth about 3.5 million years ago. This process involved preabiotic chemical synthesis, self-assembly, and the emergence of self-replicating molecules like RNA.
Okay,
So that's like an emergence of what
right.
evolution now called DNA, but it started somewhere, which is still my point.
Do you
Everything
know there's
starts simple and then it builds to some complexity because
well, that's a nice story. That's a nice story, but it's not
what do you mean?
observed.
What do you
They've
mean?
never they have never observed any organism that operates solely on RNA ever. So why
Okay,
do we believe there's no fossil record of this? There's
there
no
name can you be honest with me real fast and name some stuff that you believe that you can't have never seen? I got one in my mind right now.
uh I mean, we're talking about science. Science, you're supposed to have positive evidence for the claim. Can't say,
We
"Oh,
do have evidence of the claim
no,
because
we don't."
Well, yes,
We
what
don't
you
have.
do is you make predictions on what you should find if this is true.
We
And we
never
keep
found what you're talking about. We never found an RNA.
no, no, we're saying that if life started out this way, we would see a progression of what we are now seeing. And we see that.
No, we don't. We don't see or any. You're trying to claim that we have organisms that operate solely on RNA. There's those don't exist.
No,
You
no,
can look
not
it
on
up.
no, no, not just on RNA.
Well, what you're trying to say is these primordial organisms would have to have started off that way, then gotten more complex. The problem is we've never seen an organism that operates solely on RNA.
You
So
won't
this,
see that you won't see that organism because they no longer exist.
oh, isn't that convenient? They know
No,
these
that's not.
simple.
But wait. No, it's not convenient, dude.
It's not.
they,
There's
they
no
don't.
evidence
They,
that
they don't exist anymore because
they.
it went
What is the evidence they
extinct.
did? What is the evidence they did exist?
Because all life on Earth has is related to each other.
That's not okay. All life on
Like
Earth uses
literally, all life on Earth is related. That
all life
that
on Earth.
that
All
proves
life on Earth
evolution
has,
right there.
it proves a common designer, in my opinion. But let me ask you this:
But why would the
every
designer do that?
because it's a common design. You can why do all cars look similar? Because we designed similar. Like this isn't a problem for design. Like the designer
Why
likes the
why
designs.
why do you know a car is designed though?
I'm just saying that you're asking. Well, they're all similar. Well, okay, fine. The designer made them all the same plan. That's fine. That's not a problem. But
But
here's
okay,
the thing.
so if life was not all related, what would you say then? Would you still say God?
That's how the designer designed it. Yeah, it
Then
doesn't
that
refute.
means then that what that means you're saying no matter what we see, you're going to say it's God.
I'm just saying it all either way would fit within the design hypothesis. It wouldn't. It could
Then
go either way.
then
But
then to me you're not saying much because you're literally saying anything that science proves, you're going to say it's God.
no, I'm just saying that just because everything has a similar design doesn't mean there's no designer. That just
I know,
doesn't
but
follow.
we were just talking about one scientific thing. But if every time I say something that science has proven, you're just going to say God did it, then now you're going to
No, I'm
have
not
to
going to say
show
that.
me.
I'm not going to say
Okay.
that. What I'm going to say is, well, what is the evidence? Okay, so we've again, let's review.
The
We've
evidence
never.
is what science has proven.
Okay, the science is what based on what we observe. It's not based on speculation about things from billions of years ago.
Yes,
We
but
have never.
observe can mean that you may not see what happened in the past, but you make a guess about what happened, and then you guess something that you haven't found yet, right? So, hey, we assume that if this happened in the past, eventually we'll find this into the future, and that's what
Right.
keeps happening.
Well, that's
So
fine. Let's ask what the
that is
fact
an
is.
observation. That's an observation.
Okay, the fact is not a single organism, extant or extinct, has ever been found that operates solely on RNA. Never. It's never been found.
Well, wait,
Self-replicating.
it's all DNA right now.
Right, exactly. So the only evidence we have is that self-replicating life needs DNA. All right. But there's a couple problems.
All life that now exists is DNA based.
Right. And there's no exceptions. Well, not viruses are some viruses are RNA, but
Well, we don't know if
they
there's
can't.
life or not.
Well, and they can't self-reproduce, so they are not the first organism. Um, but so there's that's just what the fact is. So, and what I said earlier is true. I have a video on my channel proving that it's not me proving it, but I quote scientists admitting DNA does not form naturally uh, outside of living organisms. So the first living organism would have needed DNA, but there's no DNA that exists for it to use in its cellular processes. So this is a horrible chicken and egg problem for abiogenesis. All right. And there's many problems like that. There's many things that would have been necessary for the first organism to have, but can't form naturally. Even RNA, the nuclear
Yeah,
basis for DNA,
I I
amino
I,
acid.
I think
The
I think you're misrepresenting there, but
well,
it's
you can do your own research.
like we obviously have proof of these things existing and being. Like even right now, we know a lot about RNA, the horrible COVID vaccine that everybody hates. There's a reason why we were able to do what we did because we know how it works.
Yeah, but that's we also based on all the science we've observed, we've never seen it form naturally. So that's a huge problem because when life was forming, some of it would have had to have been around to be incorporated into the first. But there's no reason to think it ever arose in the first place.
Okay, let me play with you real fast because let's just say I
Right.
agree with you that we actually don't know how. Now, how does that point to a God designing it? Not knowing
Well,
something to me does not point to a God. I will never say just because I don't know
again,
that it's God. That's a huge
okay.
jump because first we would have to prove that anything supernatural actually exists. Just because we don't like I said, I'll give it to you right now. I don't agree, but I'll give it to you. We have no clue how DNA got here, all of that. Let's just go with that. We still have zero evidence of anything supernatural ever, ever, by the
Well,
way,
supernatural.
ever, ever.
Well, that's again, that's not true. Like
Okay, then
supernatural is
what proof do you have for that?
so. Like, do you? Is there anyone? So you said, well, supernatural is a meaningless term because anything that exists is natural. So if God exists, it's a scientific fact just as much as any other. If souls exist, that's a scientific fact. It's not a supernatural fact. So supernatural, unnatural, natural. It's all an arbitrary distinction.
What would a soul be made of?
Whatever they're made of. I mean, you're assuming. I mean, there's a lot of things we discovered that exist. We didn't know they existed 300 years ago. So we could discover new things. All right, dark
Okay,
matter.
so you're with me that anything that ever anything that we ever find is going to be natural, right?
Right. So that could include God. Could include a soul. It could include spirits, angels, and
Okay,
things like
so
that.
then let's jump back to the beginning. What is God to you then?
God is the intelligent creator of the universe and life.
So are you saying God's just the universe?
No, well, I'm saying that God is the intelligent creator of the universe and life. So that God is the source of the
Does
matter of
God
the universe.
does would God know what's going on?
I believe so. Yeah.
So
You
then
mean,
where is God's mind?
well, where is our mind? Some people think it's just produced by the
I
brain,
mean,
but
we kind of know where it comes from, at least.
I don't think we do. I don't
Yeah,
think we do.
we do because you can go in a lab right now and they can take out a piece of your brain and it changes you.
Right, but does not isn't that because the mind interacts with the brain?
The mind comes
It,
from the brain.
it does not come from the brain. If the mind interacts with the brain, so if you take out part of the brain that the mind uses to communicate, interact with the body, then you're affecting the reception.
So
So there's
your thing is there's something like a I'm joking, not joking, but there's some force that's like outside of me that's just connecting to my neurons.
yeah, yeah, I think that makes a lot more sense. I
But
do.
do you see my problem with when you say those things and then you get on me about RNA proof? You're saying something that you have zero proof of while requiring science to prove everything. You aren't proving anything. How is
Well,
that
I mean,
fair?
I'm answering your questions, and I
Oh
think
no,
there's
no,
really
I
good.
don't get me wrong. Like I'm not trying to, like don't make it like
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Don't think I'm having an attitude. I'm just asking like if you can require this of science, should you not require that of yourself and your
I think my
beliefs?
I think my view is entirely scientific. I think the idea the brain produces the mind is completely against what's observed. Now, of course, if you put chemicals in the brain and remove the parts of the brain that the mind uses to interact with the body, then of course you're gonna have an impact on your perception and awareness. But there are very good reasons to you reject the idea that the brain produces the mind. It's just they're
Yes,
really good reasons.
we can reject it all we want, right? But you need proof to say something otherwise. Like that's how science works. Um, it was okay that everybody thought the Earth was flat for a while, and then someone came along and showed that it was not. But anyone that would have said like, "Hey, the Earth is on the top of turtles, they would have needed to prove it. Just because we couldn't prove that the Earth was round yet at the time,
Right.
like you would still need to prove it. So you can't just say these things and be like, well, maybe it's that. Like,
So how
no,
does so tell
like,
me how do chemicals in the brain produce the mind? Walk me through it, because apparently you
how?
know the sound.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
let's
Well,
get.
I mean, like, obviously, I'm not a was a neurophysicist or
Give me your understanding
neuroscientist.
of it.
Uh, but there are chemical reactions,
Okay.
right? And then we have
Uh-huh.
actual like electric shit going on in our brain,
Electric shit. Okay.
right? And then that can go to like that's part of different like neural pathways that make you
Uh-huh.
act in certain ways depending on which part of your brain that is happening in. So if like you see a color, like we have science now to where they can actually study what it's like in your head when you see that color. And I could take that part out of your brain and you no longer have that feeling, or not feeling, sorry, you no longer have that experience anymore. So if I can take it out of your brain and you don't have the experience anymore, I hear what you're saying. You're saying that's coming from some, I'm going to jokingly say there's some antenna, right? And now I've severed the connection to the antenna.
Uh-huh, exactly.
I think that's
Yeah,
what you're
but
saying.
so
Okay.
you said what you said was there's neurons and there's electrical impulses. How does that, like, what are the laws of physics that necessitate that produce some sort of conscious experience? How does that work?
That's
Because you
what
have.
that's what we describe as consciousness. Now,
Okay, so you're saying
I'm
that.
not saying I sit here and solve the consciousness problem.
I don't
I'm
think you
not.
did, because
No, I'm
yeah,
not saying that. No, of course not.
right. The thing
I would have
is,
a Nobel Prize.
right. So what I think what we're getting at is we observe neurons and neural synapses and electrons and neurotransmitters and things like that, but we don't know how it produces consciousness. We just see it
No,
happening
we
and we
don't.
say, okay, so we have to kind of bridge that gap. How does this actually happen?
We don't have to bridge
And I think,
anything. We don't. Like this
well,
is where me and you would disconnect. Like we agree. Me and you are
we do,
agreeing,
because
and until you say that it's something that you can't prove, that's where I disagree. I can say, you know what? I have no clue what the hell this is. What we call consciousness. I don't know what it is. You are saying it's something that you can't prove to me, and me as a person that wants to know, that upsets me a little bit because it's just like, well, if you have the answer, show me why it's the answer. You
I'm
are
just saying there
saying,
is no answer. There's no scientific answer. That's all I'm saying, is that
okay,
when we
well,
look down to the neural.
that's why I brought up the flat Earth, man.
Okay, well,
Because did that just
well,
because they could not
you're the
go
one who
ahead.
made the claim that the brain. You're the one that made the claim the brain produces the mind. A
That's
part of the
all we
mind is fine.
that's the only evidence we have at the moment. Yes, that was
Well,
my statement.
you have no explanatory mechanism by which how
I
that occurs.
no
So,
no I just did. You actually have zero explanation. I have what we think is the explanation, and it could change in the future, and I'm okay with that. You aren't
well,
telling me how my brain talks to anything outside of it. Like
I
it.
think
Go
if
ahead. Go ahead.
there's certain logical problems with the idea that it leads to certain logical conclusions. First of all, free will is impossible. Okay.
I don't believe in free will either, so that's fine.
Okay. So that would mean rational thinking is impossible. All right.
Rational is just a description.
Well, the ability to engage in the agency of thought and direction of what our
Like a
beliefs are, what our choices are, that can't.
like a tree is technically rational. It does things that it should do. Blah 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 blah. It's like it's just
No,
it's like a made up thing. It's just made up.
rational thinking is impossible.
Okay,
You can't,
explain. Go ahead, explain that to me.
because if your brain is just according to your materialist idea of the mind being produced by the brain, all of the thoughts that are being produced by a chemical necessity. So the chemicals in our brain don't care if they produce the right thought, the smartest thought, the best thought, the
No,
truest thought.
they're just doing stuff.
Right. And they're doing it not in accordance with reality
I,
around
and,
them, but just
and
because a
and to be
certain
fair, real
impulse.
fast, when I say doing stuff, I don't really think it's. like
Right.
purposely doing.
It's just right. It's just like an atom
Okay.
in a river flows downstream. A water molecule flows downstream. Molecules in our brain are just kind of moving around. They're impulsing. They're not doing anything in a a goal oriented way. Okay. So if humans are engaging in rational thinking and goal oriented behavior, that can't happen according to the physicalist worldview. It just can't. So there has to be some sort of way to
Well,
bridge that gap.
it can happen. It's just what we call it is the problem. Like
No, it
things,
can't. It can't happen.
why not?
Because uh, basically agency of will and things like that and rational thinking require you to have control of your mind.
No,
If your brain, if your brain is being, if your thoughts are the product of uh, mindless chemical interactions, you have no control over what you think. And nothing you think is based on rational
no,
analysis.
we it is 100%. All right, sorry. It is pretty sure that you cannot control your thoughts. Yes. You ever and we'll wrap this up real fast because I'll let you have the we'll both give a last thing here, but I have somebody that want to hop up. But my I'll say my thing, you say your thing, and then we'll end it. So my point here is like the fact that like stuff just happens all the time, right? And we don't necessarily say that it's actually thinking or that it has some goal. Why do you assume that just because something is happening that it has a goal? Or are you saying that you agree with me that it's possible that nothing has an actual goal? Things are just existing because there's nothing else or there's no other way for it to be. And then that is just what we see. So we just describe what we see. And then now that gives it some kind of meaning, but that meaning doesn't really exist. Like, do you
Well, I
agree with
think
that?
I understand what you're saying. Let me put it this way. I think if, according to the materialist paradigm in your understanding of the mind and how the brain operates, goal oriented behavior is just not possible. We're all just atoms blowing around in space. The mind has no causal efficacy. Okay. But we know that can't be true because we do observe scientifically, this is the actual science, humans and other organisms engaging in goal oriented behavior. So
What we
my
call
opinion,
goals.
well, that's what it looks like. And to deny that is to deny what is observed. So, and you have to have a philosophical, predisposition to reject that idea. But I think, you know what? What's your name? I don't remember what
Yeah,
your
you
name is. I'm
you
sorry.
call me Jay, man.
Jay, you did say it. Okay. Jay, we can leave it there. And thank you. You're very civil, respectful. I think it was an interesting conversation, and maybe we'll have another one in the future. So,
Yeah, for sure, man. I appreciate you calling in. And we'll talk again, man.
all right, appreciate it. Thank
All right.
you.
Thanks, brother. All right. We have another that wants to join in. Just give me a moment and I'm gonna I'm gonna run to the bathroom real fast and then I'll call the next caller. All right. How's the volume? Are we are we good on volume? Sounds pretty good. No, stream hasn't ended. That's just my that's my I had to run to the bathroom. So we got Kaizen that's gonna be up next. Been waiting a little bit, so let's see. Hello,
Hey,
how you doing?
doing well. I'm blessed. And how about yourself?
Not too bad. What should I call you?
You can call me Zonius.
Zonius. Wait, you play League of Legends, man?
Nah, I used to though. Funny thing, yeah, funny thing. My real name, my birth name is actually also a name of a champion. So that's funny.
Wait,
I
what
didn't even notice
champion?
that. Hmm?
What
Oh,
champion?
my name's Kindred.
Oh no, Kindred. What?
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, that's pretty
So
dope. Man. That's pretty dope, actually. Can't say it's not.
appreciate it.
That's what's up, man. All right, what you got for me?
So I just saw the prompt that you really don't believe in God,
Yeah,
and yeah, I just wondered what that was about. I listened to the
sure,
previous convo.
sure.
Go ahead.
Let me ask you. I have some callers that won't admit what God they believe in. That's so weird to me.
Right.
What God do you believe in?
I'm a Christian, so I believe in the God that's represented by Jesus and just what we see in the Old and New Testament.
Cool. So to make sure I'm sticking to what you asked, what does your God you believe in require of you?
Oh, what is it? I think Micah 6:8 says it uh pretty succinctly. Just to walk right and do justly, and of course, with our God. Um, so that and my God is Christ, of course, and so I do my best to walk with Christ.
And when you say you do your best, like when I think of Christ, right? And this is
Yeah.
going into my spiel here. When I like fully believed in Jesus,
Mhm.
I really truly felt like I wanted to walk with Christ, which was give up everything.
Mhm.
And I do not see any Christian not living like I live or how other people live, which to me is why the title is there is you don't really believe in God because if you did, you wouldn't look like me.
Mm.
You wouldn't be living like me. Uh, and in my envision, when I envision someone that truly believes, we probably call that person crazy because even right now, like it's funny. I'm glad you joined the call, but to me, and this you're welcome to do your rebuttal here. To me, if
Mm.
you truly believed in Jesus Christ, you would not even be on the call with me right now.
Mm.
Like there,
Right.
you would be doing so many other things that I probably wouldn't even know you, and most people you'd probably be in a white room. Like if you truly believed in God and Jesus, like to the extent that you believe that if you put something to your head and pulled the trigger, you believe
Mm.
that you would be gone. So you don't do that thing unless you're for sure. No one treats God that way. Everybody's always like, I try to believe, I try to be my best, but you know, I'm forgiven. Like, so there's no one out there truly believing because if you really believed, you'd be so scared to shit, you wouldn't be doing half of anything. Like
Well, that's where
if you really believed.
that's where I kind of disagree. I believe that perfect love casts out all kind of that casts out all fear. And the reason why I'm here talking to you is because I honestly believe that your soul is important. and I think that Christ holds you dear. So, me being as a representation of that, I'm gonna try and be as kind as I can, be as loving as I can, and hopefully lead others to Christ in that way.
Okay. Why doesn't this is always one of my questions, by the way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Why did Jesus require me to go prove Jesus?
I don't think he does. He doesn't require you to prove him.
Is that not
He
one
just
of his
requires.
last will and testament to the disciples
He
to
said to
spread
go
the
go
world?
throughout just to go out into all the world and preach the gospel to every creature. It's not necessarily up to you to prove who God is.
But what's the
It's up to you
gospel?
to. Hmm?
What is the gospel?
The gospel is that Jesus Christ
Hmm.
died on a cross and rose to unite us with God once more, where our sin has separated us from God to now being rejoined with Him through the sacrifice of Christ.
So do you see why I
And
say it is to go show Jesus to the world?
it's it's more than just I think when I say proving Christ, it's not necessarily up to us to prove who God is, but it is up to us to to present to present God. I don't think that God necessarily needs apologists per se, or people to go out there um, and mathematically and systematically prove who God is. It's our mission ultimately to love others and love God above all those things. That's really what Christ said was the greatest commandment.
This may sound like a switch, but I promise you it's not.
Go ahead.
Why let me say it this way.
Mhm.
Why did God start off by only loving a certain group?
Um,
And in
I think
multiple
that
times, right? So if you start at Genesis, God only
yeah.
loves a certain group. And if you go to the Old Testament, if you go to Exodus, God loves a certain group. And it's just continuing. God loves a certain group, not everybody, but you're required to love everybody.
Okay. So, um, I I would say we in the model of God in Christianity, God is omniscient, right? So,
Yep.
so under that model, we see that God would know who would best receive him and act as a representation to all the world what we would mean to him.
I agree with that a little bit, but the only problem I have is that God shows up all the time back in the Old Testament. Like God even
Um,
showed up to unbelievers or
yeah,
non-believers.
yeah, and I also agree with that. Like
So
he
so then it's like it's kind of like it kind of matters who you are, but then it kind of doesn't.
I I think that those people were not necessarily they were exceptions, but they were a part of what God wanted to do to usher in his like the meaning to of humanity into the world. That's it. That's why I think it includes people who were not initially in the fold of the people he initially chose to, re- uh, yeah, his people, quote unquote, his people.
So he has a people because those people just happen to just represent what God wants.
Mhm.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I
So
would say.
why not just make everybody that way?
Because well, that's one of the things that God doesn't necessarily we see in Revelation that Jesus says he stands at the door and knocks, and if any man listen, he will enter into him, and they'll be united together. I don't think that it's I think that God not I think that, but we see in scripture that people have hardened hearts toward the Lord, and they harden themselves
You already know what
from
I'm going to
hearing
say to
God.
that, right?
What?
About the hardening hearts.
Yeah.
Do you know? I'm trying to like I try to
You talking
just
about
like
Pharaoh? Are you
I
gonna talk
mean
about Pharaoh?
I'm talking about God.
Oh, um, well, I don't think that God necessarily. Okay, so in hold on. Getting back to my point, when it comes,
I mean, I want like only reason I'm not bringing up something random, right? Because you mentioned hardening of hearts.
yeah, I
So
understand.
it
I
God.
just didn't get to finish my point.
Okay, go ahead. I'll take a note.
Um,
Go ahead.
yeah, but um, a lot of times we harden our hearts toward God. So um, we don't know if he hadn't if he presented himself to anyone else, but we do know who has heard him and has invited him to have that relationship with him.
I don't know if we know for sure because there's no way of proving. What if? And here's something that I've even thought about myself.
Okay.
Um, what if what I am doing, God has been speaking to me, and God is telling me that the Bible is false? Wow, 20
Mm.
gifted subs. Thank whoever did that. Thank you. Holy shit. Sorry, excuse my language.
Oh, you're good, man.
Golly. Yeah, but go ahead. Sorry. And to that one.
I think if um
Like, is it possible that God is telling me that the Bible's wrong?
I yeah, it could be possible, but
So
I don't
then,
think that I don't think that it's likely, but
but why not? Because God has lied in the Bible. God has made other people lie in the Bible. Like, so it's like it would not be that actually that hard to believe. Like God has sent deceiving spirits, so it's just like the whole Bible could just be deceiving at that point. Once it tells me that
mm, I
God
think that
sends false prophets.
God sends false prophets.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, like that would be like a lying spirit to me.
Okay.
And that's fair. That's fair if that's stretching it a bit. But
Yeah, I would,
if God sends lying spirits to me, God can send a lying spirit into someone, and we think they're a prophet. How about that?
mm, I think that in that I think that's reading into it something that's not there, but I also understand where you're coming from.
Aren't we all
I
reading into it?
I think that well, when it comes to actually like interpreting something, there are quite a few things that have to come into account. Um, I think yeah, we're all technically reading into it if you want to say that, but I think that whenever we're assessing what an author's trying to say, we have to assess a few things like cultural context, like the context of what they're saying in their entire like where the sentences and messages fit in the context of what they're writing to. So,
Yes, but I'm
I,
saying that that might be corrupted instantly when the being that is supposed to be the one that's inspiring the book will send false. I don't know how to word it. I'm just gonna say lie. The being will lie.
mhm,
So now that makes me question the whole book because there's no way for me to pick out when God is actually inspiring what's actually, let's just say God is always inspiring what's going on, but there's no way for me to know if God is trying to trick me or not because it tells me that God can trick me. I don't know the verse exactly, but it's like whoever's deceived, I'm the one that sent, you know what I mean? Like what is that? I'll look it up real fast. But
okay.
it's like God says he lies. I don't know why God's a he, by the way. Do you think God's a he?
I think that God's genderless.
Okay.
He, you know, yeah, I think gender is a property of a living creature. So if God's not like a creation or anything like that, then he doesn't have gender.
Okay, that's cool. I got distracted, but I've been trying to not say he. Just
Oh no,
like
it's fine.
I've
It's
been
fine.
like it's just like because it
I
sounds
mean,
weird to me. I also think it's like part of the like males aren't always bad, man. And then you call God a he. It's like because God's kind of shitty sometimes. I'm like, man,
oh,
female women can be bad too. Like we're all bad. But anyways, go ahead.
because
I'm
we're
gonna
all
look up this
people.
verse for you
I got you.
while I listen to you. But go ahead.
But yeah, I think the reason why I call God a he is because Jesus called God a he, and he called him the father, and Israel called him the father as well. Uh,
Could they be lying?
yeah, could they be lying? I think that they're acting on the best of their knowledge, just like every human does.
But they could be wrong then. Okay. I use
Yeah,
the word lie a lot, but they could be wrong.
yeah, they could be wrong.
So the Bible could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't hold to inerrancy when it comes to like the facts of what's being written. I think that it's more so just about inerrant in its meaning and seeing what lines up with what with reality. I don't think we should view the Bible as um, that'd be dishonest to just view it as wholly, sound and factual without having some sort of justification for that belief.
So then how do you pick and choose what's true?
I would say, I would say mostly with what's consistent.
Yes,
If we
but
see, like, just
there
like
can be a
if we were
consistent
to,
lie, right?
okay, so just like if we were to have a court case about the nature of what somebody did. We're gonna take what's most consistent about their character and about and not only their character, but we're also gonna take a look at the events that happen and why they're in the seat before we can enact judgment on that person. So that's why I would say what's consistent in there. So it could be false, but at the same time it just matters what justifies our belief in whether or not it's true or false.
I'm think I'm gonna need more details on that. That did sound a little contradicting to me there. Because
Okay,
the way
so
I'm looking at it is just so to help you explain.
got you.
The way I'm looking at it is no matter what, we have human brains interpreting
Mhm.
everything, which leads to it can be wrong, which means
Yeah,
I have no clue on how to know who is speaking the truth. Like no clue at all. Because Paul can be lying first, Paul can be telling the truth, but be wrong, right? Or God can just be deceiving Paul. And there's literally zero way for me to know if what Paul wrote is true.
I would say it would have to align with the things that it would have to align with that which is, hold on. So I would say it has to align with something that we would expect from truthful things. So that's why I would say that, and we
Truth.
have to have enough evidence of what they're saying to um to put confidence in it. I don't think it's necessarily something that we can never be 100% certain of something, but we can have justifications for the confidence that we have in that thing. And so we
By
see
okay,
we
but
see it
by the
like
only
in the
reason we
writings of,
do that is by outside forces, right? So the only
um,
reason I'll believe
somewhat.
you is if what you're saying actually lines up to what I see in reality, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Now we're talking about a book. That's the problem. So
Okay.
with a book, and then this is all we have. There is no outside of the book. Like all we have is the book, and people wrote in the book. People wrote down what other people wrote in the book, sometimes 30, 40 years later, which is its own problem, but let's skip that for now. Like there is zero way for me to know what is written in this book is correct unless it's speaking about something I can look at, like let's just say it's talking about Rome. Oh,
Yeah.
actually, there is a place called Rome. Okay, I know at least that part's true. But when it starts telling me, "Hey, Rome floated up into the sky and the city was in the clouds," you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't say that. But if that's what it said, I'd be like, "That's bullshit," and you can't prove it. Like, so it's just like, what do we do with those things? Because there's a lot of claims in the Bible that are unprovable. Like even if they're true, man, they're just not provable at all. If Jesus walked on water, there is zero way for anyone to prove it. Like zero. And I wouldn't believe you just because I trust you, by the way. I got kids that I trust, but they ass be lying. So it's just like I'm not going to believe you just because most of the time I would trust you. So I'm not even one of those people that think, "Oh, because you're trustworthy, I'll believe you that you say something extraordinary all the time."
I completely understand, and I could accept that. I could accept that. I think that the main um the main claim, I would disagree with your previous caller. I'm not sure why he said that you could disregard the crucifixion and still be a Christian. It's like
Oh, okay.
that's contradictory in itself. Like,
Yeah, but to
but
be fair, man, I think if you went back in time,
mhm.
Jesus would say you're not a Christian. Jesus himself would say you aren't one. And it's like nobody follows the laws like Jesus said.
um, well, I think that it's more so he already set a precedence for what the law is, which is, like I said, the greatest commandment is to
But
love God.
he says follow the laws. Moses' laws. He says follow them. We're supposed to be following them right now.
But he also says that he is the fulfillment of the law, and he came to take away the sins of the world. So
Yeah,
even if we don't
what does
follow, so even
fulfillment
if we
mean?
don't follow the law per se, his propitiation covers that sin, makes up for where we fall short.
So, okay, let me roll with you on this. If all that's true, what is the point of anything we're doing right now? Why aren't we already at the end? Like
Um,
what is the point of all of this? If Jesus already did everything, which
mhm.
doesn't make sense because God would have known everything. My whole point, just to fast forward, why are we not in heaven or in hell or already? Like, what is the point of all of this? Because God, Jesus, Holy Spirit, all already know who's making it and who's not making it. What are we still doing here?
Okay. Um, Let me pull up this verse right quick. Um, so it's essentially our mission, and why Jesus hasn't come back yet is um it's to occupy until he comes. It's it's to it's to align ourselves with him and to
Yes, but
um
he already knows
I
that,
mean,
right?
yeah.
So then
There's
why do I need to live 80 years when Jesus already knows where I'm going to end up?
we
And I
have
like I said, I could
well
become a
that,
believer before I die. I could not, but that's not the point. My point is,
yeah.
if Jesus already knows,
Mhm.
why am I here?
I think it's just in the nature of what we see in the Old Testament, even though I take the creation accounts and some of the Genesis accounts as allegorical, we see this theme of God using his people to reach others. And we see God using like Adam and Eve in a way to represent the love that he has for us and the love we should share with one another. It's just like I said, it's just as Jesus' commandment to do, to love God and love your neighbor. If we aren't able to love our neighbors, then how can we exhibit the same type of love that God has for us?
I actually would say we actually show more love than God does. God, if I want to forgive you, I don't make you crawl on your knees. I don't make you come beg to me. If I want to forgive you, I will just forgive you. And we're actually required by God to do better than God. God doesn't just forgive everybody. We're told to forgive our enemies, and then like we're just told to forgive them. They don't have to do anything. God requires us to go through all of this pony show, cry for forgiveness, beg for forgiveness, yet I am supposed to go forgive the person that does me wrong just like that. They don't have to do crap.
Um, well, that's the thing. You have been forgiven. That's
And then
that's what.
then fine. I guess do you believe in universalism?
But you
Is everybody going to
when
heaven?
when I say you have been forgiven, it's not necessarily. There was okay. So there's a quote that I've heard a few years ago, and it's really stuck with me. And it says that the only sin that can't be forgiven is thinking you can't be forgiven. So it's not really up to um, the person who's doing the forgiving to accept it. It's up to the person who's being forgiven to accept that they're forgiven, and that's what Christ is inviting us to do.
I don't think that's true because if I mean I've forgiven people that have done horrible things to me.
Yeah.
Um, they it does not require them at all for me to forgive them. They can actually reject my forgiveness and I still forgive them. It doesn't require them at all. So God does not require us to do anything. If God wants,
But
and first off, let's just be real here. God's
mhm,
God, right? I'm playing along with you here. God's God. God shouldn't
yeah.
need crap. God, like literally, should just be done. Like, that's it.
Okay. So that's the thing, though. If somebody doesn't forgive you, then they're not going to reconcile with you, and that's their will to. If they did, yeah, if you forgave someone
Yeah,
and they don't accept that they're forgiven,
that's
they're
okay.
not going to, huh?
That'd be okay. I forgive them. And
Yeah,
if I had
exactly.
all power, they would still be forgiven.
But when it comes to the desires of two people, if they're going to continue in a relationship, they're going to need both to accept that they are forgiven
Do you see
and to
the
forgive in order for the relationship to work,
I get it, man,
right?
but I just need you to work with me on this one though, because here's the problem when we do these analogies that I've noticed
Okay.
is we're forgetting that God is God. When we're talking
And
about
that's
two human beings, we're on the same level. So
right.
we require a little bit more from each other because we're the same thing. God literally needs nothing from anything, not even person. God would need nothing from anything in existence.
And I agree with you.
So why does God require anything?
Okay.
That's like the
So
relationship with
it's
God should literally just be like poof. I don't
it's
like
not
poof.
that okay, so under the Christian worldview, we see that um, God isn't necessarily take a utilitarianist type of approach. It's more of a virtue approach. If God does uh, forgive us, He doesn't require anything. But in the virtue building of nature of what he does, he wants for us to choose that relationship with him. So
Yeah, but what does it take for with a relationship? How many you need more
it's
than one
willing,
person, right?
it takes willing participants. Yeah.
Okay, where's God?
When you say where's God, what might you mean?
I have a relationship with my father because I know he's there and he has shown up.
Mhm.
Why, if God wants a relationship, why isn't God showing up to everyone?
Um, I believe that um, I think that God shows himself to everyone at least at one point in time. You know, but it's not
Yes, but
necessarily.
hold on, but 1 second though. That'd be like, and let me put this in context. That'd be like my dad saying he showed up, but he went to some stranger's house and spoke to their son. Like God would need to speak to me, like literally to me. And even when I was total believer, God, like I'd never heard God, not once. I begged, cried for it, prayed for it. Um, I sometimes I still find myself praying randomly now. God has literally never spoken to me one time. And this is from somebody that literally is just totally seeking a relationship. Someone that I spoke of before that was really willing to just give up everything and everyone for this relationship. And not once was I ever spoken to or anything. Like there literally
Mhm.
nothing, man, nothing. How is that fair? Like let's just say you're right, by the way. I'm going to pretend with you that you're 100% correct. How is that fair of God to do that to me?
Okay. So, um, I think that whenever we, whenever we're in relationship or whenever we're looking for a relationship, we have certain expectations, even in our human relationships. We have certain expectations of people, and whenever those expectations aren't met, we we don't necessarily like continue to hold those expectations for that person. We shape our understanding of that person to match with what their um, actions have shown.
Yes,
And
what
sometimes,
actions have we seen from God?
well, I would say, of course, I would point to the death and resurrection. But even have you heard the story about the man on the island?
Yeah, but hold on, because I really want to know because this is
Uh,
key, right? Because you brought up an example on how
yeah.
relationships work, and once again, someone would have proof of this other person that they're trying to have a relationship with. I would be able to gauge, like with my wife. I can guess and I can be wrong. Don't get me wrong on that. I can be wrong about what she wants, but I have something to actually go off of because I have an experience with her. God, what experience do I have with God to even get close to what God wants? And if you're going to point to the book, remember, we already talked about how the book can be a problem because humans are already flawed. Where is my interaction with God itself?
But, um, and to the point with the book can be flawed. I think that the possibility that it is flawed is not an indication that it is flawed. But I digress from that point.
Yeah, yeah, sure,
Um,
sure. But I'm saying like this is you believe this is you believe this is most important thing there is, right?
I believe that that's our purpose. I think that yeah.
Okay. So if this is our purpose, isn't it kind of evil in a way that God does not make sure that we are all on the same page about what God wants? Or more likely scenario is that even if God exists, we have it all wrong. Because to
Okay.
me, if Christianity was true, the world would just be so different. It'd almost be like Harry Potter type stuff, man.
Okay. Can I say, all right, so to that point, I say no. I think that we wouldn't be on the same accord. I think that if God, you know, if God were real and
Well, you believe
and
God's
he said,
real, so it's just
yeah. I'm
it's
just
just-
giving that example, like,
oh,
because saying what we could expect from God if I believe God is real.
yeah.
But if Jesus is who he said he was, and he's telling us to love our enemies, love our brethren, love our neighbor, XYZ, then we can expect differences because what is greater if we love somebody who is close to us or if we end up loving somebody who has these kinds of differences from us? It's going to
You,
be
go ahead, go ahead.
uh, the greater love is going to triumph over adversity rather than agreement.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with agreement. Just has to do with me being able to at least have a shot at giving God what God wants. Like,
Yeah.
because let's just say, like, God could just be a jerk, right? But I would still call God a fair jerk if God came to me and was like, look, hey, Jay, you do this, and this, or this will happen. Like he did Adam and Eve, I guess. Even then, he kind of didn't really tell them exactly what was going to happen. But at least Adam and Eve got to see God and got to make a real choice. I did not get, I don't get to choose. And I didn't even get to choose when I believed because I don't think you choose what you believe. I was just born into it, believed it, and that's it, really. And then now that I kind of don't believe that I didn't choose that either. So to me, it is not fair of God to not just show up right now, literally right now, because what else is God doing, by the way? God should be able to show up right now to every single person on earth and be like, hey, do this crap or else. We don't even need a book. Like, what is God doing right now? Why is God so busy that God does not just show up to every single person right now? Like, I don't get it. Like, I truly don't understand. Like,
Okay.
there's nothing
So,
else going on. Is God busy?
okay. So, the thing that I would say is back to like the hardening of hearts and just our own when it comes to our own beliefs and things. If God were to show up in the sky right now or manifest himself in a way, people would still find a way to write it off as something
That's
else.
okay. I'm saying that would be fair. Like
So,
God
but
did that for Adam and Eve, right? God did that for um non-believers too. God did that to the Egyptians. God just showed up and it was like, "Hi, I'm here. Y'all fucked up." Right? Like so it's just like God did everything that you're saying God won't do right now. And to me, it's only it seems like a coincidence that it would be so easy to prove now, but God doesn't show up. But God showed up when nobody could prove anything.
okay. Um, I know it might be um like not necessarily like a super long stretch, but have you looked into any of like um I'm a bit of a cessationist myself. Do you know what that entails, what that means, or no?
Oh, sorry. Say that last part again. You're not a what?
Uh,
I missed the
I'm a
word.
sensation. I'm a partial sensationist.
Sensationist. Go ahead. Explain to me. I'm not too sure.
So yeah, I personally don't believe like all the miracles and things that are done today in churches are like are real. I know you probably extend that to say none of them are real, but I think there are um some healings that are documented that that are most parsimoniously explained by the Christian God. But
Like,
and I could and I
got
could be more than glad to
examples?
send you some of those studies and things. But um
Because
but yeah,
to me, there has not been nothing ever has been proven to be magic.
and I don't believe in magic either, necessarily. No.
Well, I mean, technically, if you believe Jesus rose from the dead, bro.
So, by magic you mean just a manipulation of nature?
Not necessarily manipulation because we manipulate nature all the time.
Yeah,
So it would be like literally breaking the laws of nature as we know them.
and
And
that's
to be
where
fair, I could think we might not know. We don't know everything. Not might not. We don't know everything, but
yeah, and that's where I would disagree. I think, and that's one point where I did agree with the last caller that since something exists and occurs in nature, that by proxy means that it's natural.
so you okay? You believe
So
everything would be natural? Okay,
yeah, I believe that anything that exists is natural by proxy.
okay. But you don't
So
use natural explanations for some things, but you believe everything would be natural, right?
um,
Like like
wait, say that
Jesus,
one more time.
like walking on water. How did Jesus do that?
I don't know. I'm also kind of agnostic on that account.
Okay, that's right. You did say you're not sure about all of them. Which besides the resurrection, which miracles do you believe in?
Um, I'd say um besides the resurrection, I think that I think the feeding of the 5,000 was might have been not legendary. Maybe. Just because it was um
It sounds pretty
mo-
ridiculous, right?
it does sound ridiculous, but I
Because
I think it
how
had
many was it? Was it like did he like what like
5,000,
if like the loaves? Is it the fish or the loaves of bread? I can't remember
5
exactly.
loaves, 2 fishes.
Okay, so what happened to the fishes? Were they just continuously growing?
That is a
like,
very good question.
like
And
what are we talking about there? You know what I mean?
right. I I think
I'm just
that
saying. I'm just
it,
saying, man. That sounds
yeah,
ridiculous, right? Like I don't know.
indeed.
So do you see my point? Like I don't think you
I
really
see your
believe that.
I see your point. I
So
um
to go back to my title, man, how much do you really believe? And here's the thing, like I don't think anyone should be scared of my question because you can't lie to
yeah,
God anyway. Like if
right,
God's real, you can't lie to God anyway. So it's I like
precisely.
so I'm like, do you really believe, man? Or are you just mm, sorry. Like do you really
I feel you.
believe? Like I don't know, man.
I believe well, I would say I believe God enough to, of course, tell others about him
Okay. And
and to love my
is that because and I think you're about to say it, hate to cut you off there. Is that more because you think it's just better for society?
no.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think no. I don't think that it's just better for society. In some cases, I think that some people would be better off if they made kind of selfish decisions. But I don't think that's necessarily the point.
I think we all make I think the only decisions you can make are selfish.
Um, to
Like
that
even
point,
even if you do something kind, you're doing it for a selfish reason. It's almost inescapable.
I think that hmm, that's interesting. Uh,
Yeah, most people don't say that. Like I haven't met many people that agree with me on that, but I think every single action has some selfishness to it.
hmm, that's interesting.
And
Yeah,
that's
you.
why I say
So
God is like the ultimate selfish, right? Like that's what
how do you
God is. Yeah.
then how do you view sacrifice?
So if I go and die for my wife, I am still doing it because I believe like myself, either it either makes me look good or it's my responsibility, which in turn means I am worried about what other people think about me, which makes it selfish.
But that's not the case for every person, you know?
Well, I'm saying give me something that you're not doing selfishly. I could probably show you how it's selfish. And selfish is like are you looking at selfish as a bad word because I'm not thinking it's bad.
No, no,
I
I'm
okay.
not even thinking of selfish as a bad word. And like I
Okay.
said, there are some things that society uh could do that people in society could do that is selfish that might turn out better for society.
Oh, I'm not even talking about outcomes, by the way. Like
Okay.
the outcomes are relevant. It's just whatever you're doing, you're usually or I'm sorry, I can't think of a scenario you're not doing it for yourself, even if it is for someone else.
That's kind of
It's I mean, think about it
Rap.
though.
I'm thinking about it. I'm following. But at the same time, it's like um. Okay, so
Like like let's talk about God in that way, right? Like
yeah,
God, God why did God make people?
God. Um, I think God. Okay, so I take a philosophical approach to it more so. I say because creation in its nature is a good um is an attribute of goodness, and God's nature is good, therefore He creates.
Yeah, but I think you could think of plenty of times where the creation of something is bad, right? So I don't know
Could
if
you give me an
that
example?
I don't know if that necessarily if I knew for sure that the child that I was going to have was going to be born in some horrible, always in pain, suffering until 100 years old, that would be not good of me.
Okay. So,
So like creating something is not always like that's not goodness. I think it would be more good
but
and less selfish, by the way, if I knew I wanted to love somebody, but I also knew that their life was going to be so horrible that I did not create them. Like and me just be lonely. I think that's better, right? Obviously, this ties
uh,
into the whole God thing.
I would
Like like
say
to me, God should never have created anything if the story of Christianity is true. Like I said, just because I'm saying that does not mean there's not a God. All I am saying is that any God that we have ever come up with is probably wrong.
so I think within the Christian framework, um, God creates God creates even in spite of the probability that that can happen.
But you said it's
So,
good. You said creation is
but
good.
uh, what I'm saying is he creates with the intent that it become like we see in Genesis that he created something and he said it is good.
Obviously
So he
wasn't.
Well, it was good. That doesn't mean it stays that way. You know,
So then God's not perfect. And
God is
we can agree
okay.
there. Wait, what?
So I believe that no, I believe God can be perfect. God is perfect, but He can create imperfect beings.
That's not perfect.
How so?
Because if you are perfect, you literally only can do perfect things. That's what
Okay,
perfect is.
no, I disagree.
Okay, go ahead.
So I don't believe that we were. I don't believe that we were created to sin. Just like if we had a perfect bicycle maker, if we had someone who made perfect bicycles, and they
The
made,
bicycle would never break because it's perfect.
but one day you decide to use that bicycle
It,
to
if the
try
bi-
to.
if the bicycle
Oh,
can be
wait,
broken, I'm
wait,
just
wait,
saying.
wait. Excuse me.
If okay,
Hold
go
on.
ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you
So you
finish. Go
use,
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, you use that bicycle to try. Try to use that bicycle as a boat. It's not gonna work. It's going to fail as that thing. We were not created to sin. We were
Bicycle
created.
as a boat.
Hmm?
Go ahead. Go ahead. No, I'm just repeating what you're saying. Go ahead.
Yeah, we were created to sin. Though we have the ability to sin, it doesn't work for us, obviously.
All right.
But we were
Let me see how
created.
to. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm
Hmm?
thinking. Go ahead. I'm seeing how to break this
Oh,
down.
my bad. Okay, so yeah, we weren't created to sin, but just in that same fashion, just like how a bicycle can theoretically, it can go in the water, but it's not going to work as a boat. We can sin, but we're not gonna fulfill our purpose in that sin.
Okay. The problem. I promise I get what you're saying. The problem
Okay.
with the scenario is that it's God we're talking about. This is the main problem, man. Anytime we're doing analogies, it sucks because we're talking about God. So, in the scenario about God building a bicycle, you would
Yeah.
never be able to even put the bicycle in the water.
What?
Like,
But
like you would just never be able to do it. The bicycle would only be able to be used for what it is used for. Like we're talking about God here, and like this is the only reason I hate analogies a little bit when we're talking about human beings and God. Because
okay.
why did God give me a bike and know that I was going to put it into the water? Like God would have
I,
known these things.
I think that also follows with what I was saying, when it comes to the virtue ethics of God and who He is. He allows for you to do those things in
But
virtue of that you will steward what you have righteously and correctly. I mean, not righteous, well, not correctly, but righteously. Like you would know not to drive your bike into the water, right? You would know to try and just ride your bike as it's intended to do. But
yes,
if you
but
decided to drive that bike into the water, then that is not on God's
it is,
prerogative.
but it is on God though, right? Like it is on God because God knows everything. Like when we're doing
Yeah, but
analogies, so you can't just take away some of God's traits. Like we have to, like God would be a perfect creator, which means like God also would know everything that is going to happen with its creation, right?
okay.
So like
Does knowledge
we should have never been able to do anything that we weren't supposed to do if God was a perfect creator.
okay.
That's
Can I
my main
ask you,
point. Yeah, but
do you believe knowledge entails causation?
does something have to happen for us to have knowledge of it? Is that what I'm hearing?
That's not no, no. What I'm saying is if you know something, does that mean you caused it? Like if
Yeah.
you know,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
yeah, like if
But
you
you see
uh,
how that's faulty, right?
no.
If well, yes. Does God control everything or no? And
Okay.
if you don't
So,
think that, that's cool. Like then we have a different God we're talking about. So from my understanding of the Christian God, nothing happens without God's permission.
God sustains everything. He said,
Like
you know,
nothing
he
happens
sustains
without me.
both. Yeah, essentially, he sustains both. He sustains good. There's no evil that is oh well, yeah, there's no evil that goes unseen. There's no good that goes unseen either. But
God is also the creator of evil.
I disagree. He's the creator of good.
Hold on. I'm pretty sure it's definitely
How do you
verse
define
29.
evil?
God says it. I don't know. Let's see what God says. I think it's a made up word, by the way.
Yeah, I agree. I think that like aren't all words made up though?
Yeah. But I meant like if we were more like lions, we wouldn't say anything was evil. If that makes sense. Like there wouldn't be a word for it. We would just be. Unless we find out lions think like us, and then I'll
I
eat,
think that
I'll eat that.
we have rationale that is different from other
There are
mammals.
there are other animals like elephants and whales, I believe, that have like morality that we think. But
They
that's
exhibit those behaviors
it's another
of someone
subject.
who weighs morals.
So I
There's
think
some birds.
I put in the chat there Isaiah 45:7. It says, "I form the light and create the darkness. I make peace and I create evil. I, the Lord, do all these things."
Okay. So in that, I think that he okay. So by creating good, he also by proxy would also create technically he would create evil, but
But I mean, he
when it
says it
comes
right there. He says
yeah,
that created. It created. We don't have to
okay,
say.
so do you
We
know
don't have to say technically though. He creates it.
okay, so yeah, he creates evil. Okay, so do you know what is meant by that though?
Go ahead if you want to explain
Okay.
context to it.
Okay. So when
I
it
know it like.
comes to
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead. I thought of it, but I'm gonna let you finish. Go.
gotcha. In the Christian paradigm, um, you can have a good that is without evil, but you can't have an evil that is without good. Just like how you can't have um just like you can't have darkness without light.
Yeah, that works both ways. You
How
can't like
so?
it as soon as you say that, it means it's the opposite too.
No, not that it's the opposite. It's just that it creates it. So we see evil is a privation or a perversion of something that is already good. Just like how there
Yeah, that's how you. But if you were an evil person, you might describe it differently. Like if you like say you're Satan, like you
yeah,
actually think evil is what good is.
by good, what do you mean?
In that definition, it would just be what you think is best. Like Satan probably thinks evil is good. Like it's just
Oh,
words. So it's just a
I would
description. It's just a description.
I would okay, so God I would say in the Christian worldview, God is the arbiter of that which is good.
Yeah, but
So
there's plenty of things
Satan,
that God does that you don't think is good.
but why would I not why okay, so when it comes to the nature versus the and there's some things that we can discuss about just the Old Testament. I've been working my way just reading the Old Testament. Have you read this book? I'm making my way through it. It's called "Is God a Moral Monster?"
I've heard of it, haven't read it, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm making my way through it. So I'm not sure I'm as well equipped to answer those objections. That's something I'm wrestling with spiritually as well. But
Which part?
just
Oh,
things like in
the Old Testament. Okay.
Old Testament laws, First Samuel, those instances.
Funny enough,
Um,
I just released a video today on the subject of slavery.
Now
Because
slavery, I actually um, it's odd. I think that slavery. I don't think that God is for slavery at all.
Hold on, we
But
can't do. You can't say that. Let's
yeah, I can.
let
Yes, I
you.
can.
You should go watch my video.
I most definitely will. But
the go ahead.
um,
I'm gonna let you speak how God is not for slavery first, and then we'll go ahead
and then
and
we'll go back
agree.
to the.
Well, no, we're gonna both agree by the end of this that God is for slavery.
Okay. So really, okay.
Yes.
So I think that when it comes to just the basic argument of the Old Testament law to love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you love your neighbor, you're not going to enslave them.
unless you unless you're the Israelites.
They weren't loving their neighbor.
But God told them to do it.
No, God allowed for them to
No,
do
no,
it.
no, 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 bro. Because they like God told them, hey, y'all go over here, destroy all these people, take their virgin children or women, virgin women and daughters. I think they killed the boys too. That kind of sucks.
Maybe.
They only took the virgin women and the virgin girls as slaves, bro. Those are slaves.
Okay.
Don't
And
don't 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 skip that for me. I need you to let's sit with
I'm
that
not
for a
gonna skip that.
second.
I'm not gonna skip it. I'm not gonna skip it.
All right. So
What?
God
Okay,
commanded them to go do this.
okay. So what else are oh, okay. So you're in this predicament. You see
God's
this
never in a predicament, man.
no, I'm saying you're in this predicament. I
Oh,
don't think God's in a I don't think God's in a predicament.
okay. I'm an Israelite. Is that what you're saying?
You're an
Okay.
Israelite.
I'm Israelite. Go ahead.
So you receive word. This nation and you even see it yourself. This nation is wicked. They are doing child sacrifice. They are doing all these wicked things.
All right. I'm gonna go with you on this, even though there's evidence that was not true. But go.
Really.
Yeah.
And I would like that evidence as well. I want to be completely honest with how I present and completely
Because
honest with information that I
like
receive.
the historical part of it is that all of these neighboring nations were doing the same things that the Israelites were doing.
Really?
Like
Oh,
there was no child sacrifice going on everywhere. Like, and to be fair, what the hell is child sacrifice? Because also, um, I forget, is it Ezekiel that says God gave a wrong commandment because you're supposed to give your firstborn to God? Like you're supposed to sacrifice your firstborn to God. So it's just like
I
all of
haven't.
these all of these nations were doing similar things, but if you want that land over there, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to
I think
come up with some reason.
I think I've heard of that Ezekiel argument. And you can correct me if I'm wrong on this information, but I don't believe that it's necessarily a sacrifice in the sense that it's in like it was for I think the Amalekites is what you're referring to.
Yeah, they're usually
Because they
talked
were
about. Yeah.
sacrificing because they were killing children and sacrificing them to Molech. But when it comes to the Israelites and sacrificing your firstborn, that is essentially just dedicating their life to like being a
But
nun in
why
a sense like that.
why can't I say that the same thing? That's what they were doing too, bro. It's just a misconception about
I
what
think
was
it's
going
because
on.
I think it's just because of the historical context, and
Cool.
I would have to look. I would have to look into the different sources that talk about child sacrifice in the ancient Middle East. But
Well,
I'll
my
I'll get
point to
back to you
this
on that.
is that you brought up my point, which was there are historical proofs of certain things, and that's what I like to stick to. We know historically all of these groups are what we would now call evil. Like the Israelites were evil and they were God's people. If they came to our time, we would condemn them. You agree with that?
I agree.
Okay. So They weren't any different than the other people around them. So they were just as bad, except they
That I
had
would disagree.
God on their side. God chose them, and God allowed them to get away with things that he did not allow other groups to get away with because they were God's people. Why didn't God just destroy all of them once they once they went against God? Oh, God gives them a chance because it's God's people. Does that story make more sense when it's the people that are making up the story rather than it being an actual God punishing people? It's kind of funny that every time Israel did something, God only punished them a little bit, but they still were able to carry on. But
A
God
little
told
bit.
them, when I say a little bit, I mean compared to him going and saying, hey, destroy everyone. Why wasn't Israel completely destroyed? Oh, because they're the ones making the story. That's why they weren't completely destroyed, because if this God was real and their story that they were telling was real, they would have got destroyed too. You know how many times they didn't listen to God?
I think that it's really a uh, kind of like have you heard of topology?
Explain. I know the word. I'm not gonna act like I know exactly what it means at the moment.
So essentially, like it's
Excuse me.
the events that you're good. You're good. It's the events that happen that are pointing to an overall within the Bible and within ancient scriptures. It's pointing to something that will happen in the present future. Just as Israel has struggled with God and they wrestled with God, turning away and then turning back to Him. That's sort of how the nature of how our relationship is personally with God as well,
Okay,
and
and
with
this
Christ.
the point of this part is what? I'm sorry.
The point of this part, you talking about? Are you talking about just like when it comes to slavery, or when it comes to like just turning away, or
Oh no! My whole point to my story I was telling was it's funny, and this is more proof to me of how it was just written by people. The person writing the story, if it's their people, it seems that they always find a way to escape the real punishment. But everyone else that they're trying to represent, or I'm sorry, try to present as being the evil people, they get destroyed.
it's
It's like a
well,
movie. It's like a movie, man. Like, you know how like the
re-
hero should die just like the other people, but they don't, because that's the point of the story. The hero is supposed to survive. But in reality, a lot of the times, if the hero was doing stupid shit like we see in the movies, they would be dead. But it's because the person is writing the story that the hero gets to make the same mistakes as the evil person, but live. That is
okay.
what's going on in the Bible. Like, they're writing a story. It's obviously men writing the story. Men, only men, by the way. It's obviously men writing the story. Do you not see that?
I mean, I, how else will we get any
Oh,
kind of literature
cool.
with
Okay,
somebody
cool.
writing,
But
right?
but do you know I mean it more than that, right? Like
Like, are you talking about like men to gender?
they're no. I'm saying like they
Oh,
literally are. They have an agenda, and they're making their agenda. I'm sorry, they're making the stories fit their agenda. It's like the
I
Garden
think
of Eden story isn't real.
I agree,
Like so, it's the same concept. So why is that story
but
BS, and then the story of the Exodus not BS?
by real, if you mean by real, you mean literal. That's what I believe
Like, yeah,
by real.
like the Exodus,
But
we have zero evidence of it actually happening.
mm, I disagree, and I could refer. I can refer you to a video series if you want to watch it about some of the cases for the Exodus, if you would like.
Yeah, yeah, of course. But I would say like the Egyptians wrote down everything, even the bad shit. Why
But
isn't the
also,
Exodus in there?
we also have to understand that, like, I think it's close to 90 to 93% of ancient Egyptian writing has been lost, like completely.
Yes, but I believe, and I'll double check me, but I believe during the time that they say there was supposed to be the Israel inside as slaves, like there's no writings about that at all. And we have, I don't know if they call it writings back then, but they have inscriptions of stuff going on during that time. And there's no Israel slaves there. Why would they not write about that?
I think that okay, so when it comes to a lot of the Old Testament, you also got to take into account when it comes to any writing at all, you have to take into account what the author's intent of writing is.
Wait, that's my point.
Uh,
That's my
now,
point.
okay, so I think that I would say that a lot of the Old Testament is not necessarily when it comes not necessarily well not necessarily excuse me, it's not fictional, but it is a polemic. A lot of the times, it's a polemic. It's what they would write to charge themselves up for.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, bro. You agree with me?
But at the same time, I think that it's an exaggeration of real events that actually happened, though. Like the wars that they account, when it comes to like them saying there were like 1,500 or 15,000 men, and they came in with only 300 folks, and they took over and killed all the folks. I think that they won the war, but the numbers may have been exaggerated. The event actually happened, but when it comes to the scale of which it happens, it may be a bit exaggerated in that sense.
Okay, but why don't you feel that way about the resurrection?
Because we have you have different authors with different intent.
They all have the same intent,
I
which is
disagree.
which is
I don't think that the Bible is
to
univocal.
which is to prove. No, we're only talking about the Gospels now, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the Gospels are for sure. They for sure all have a purpose, right?
Mhm.
Okay, and the purpose is to prove what Jesus as being the Messiah. I think Mark is probably the closest thing to Jesus, but it still exaggerates. Like Mark doesn't have as many. I think he still has walking on water, but I don't think he has some of the other ones, like the zombies popping out of the grave, or I have to look exactly, but I think Mark's
No, there's
missing a
like a
few of
whole
the
bunch of
miracles.
miracles in Mark. Like you got
No,
the him.
there's still miracles. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah,
I think as it progresses, Jesus gets more fantastical as it goes.
I think that Mark is probably one of the like besides John, that's like the most miraculous and up that we see Jesus. Like because he's doing like miracles every other page. Like it's
Yeah, okay, okay. I'm sorry. Maybe I'm more talking about the fact of Jesus like being like God, like God, like God. Like I don't know. It's like I could like I'll regress on that. I could be kind of wrong on that. I have to do some more Mark studying up on that. But I from what I used to thought I know at least, I thought Mark was more of the I know everybody copies from Mark, but I thought Mark was more of the docile version of Jesus. Now, remember though, all of the stories of Jesus are freaking exaggerated. So it's kind of hard for me to gauge exactly what you're saying and like what I'm saying because obviously all of the stories were kind of like miraculous or whatever and almost impossible. Like raising people from the dead, like when has that ever
yeah.
happened?
Okay. So one thing that have you ever heard of the historical reportage model
Mm-mm.
for the guy? Okay, so it's essentially um what they do is they look at the writings of the time and the other contemporaries that have written in the same time to record true and accurate information, and they link it up with the people who are attributed to writing the Gospels. And
We don't
you'd
know
be
who that
surprised
was.
that I disagree. I think that there's a good case to make that that though the Gospels are anonymous in the sense that they don't write them. The only reason why they say that the Gospels are anonymous is because they don't really attribute their names. Literally, they don't say, "Hey, this is so and so, and I am writing so and so."
But when
That's
you
the
look
only reason why we can say. But
when you
I think
look
that
back at
the
how they were writing back then, uh, isn't it true that when you were writing stuff back then, you would sign it as you? So it'd be very odd that they did not sign it. Like
well, that's
you didn't.
also
Go ahead. Yep.
um that's also where we see that the Gospels they were in I mean, sorry, they were oral before they were written accounts. They were
Yeah,
oral in
that's true.
circulation before they were written accounts.
Yeah, they had to
So
be.
that's one thing that you have to take into consideration. People were
I think you have to take that into consideration.
yeah.
Because
How so?
what does that mean? If it was only oral at first, what does that probably tell us? Hint, hint, hint is the telephone game.
Uh, but then again, you also have to understand that they were in an oral culture where it was important to have accuracy within your recitations.
Okay, I,
So
I will grant you that they were probably better at continuing stories.
vastly, like
I,
they would there were people back then that they had to memorize the entire Torah, like the first 5 books of the Old Testament, and they could not use any kind of scripture.
yes, okay. Now keep giving that 30 or 40 years. This is kind of like the evolution of language kind of thing. How like one language turns into another, but yeah. Anyways, uh, keep going that for like 30 or 40 years until it's written down. I am going to be certain there are going to still be mistakes once they start writing it down
Okay,
because
but
they're still human beings like us, by the way. So it's just like it just is like, do I really think? Let me just say Jesus was real.
yeah.
Do I really think that they knew and wrote down exactly what Jesus said word for word? No, I don't think that is so far beyond from possible. Like I don't even know what to say. They probably got plenty of what Jesus said wrong.
Okay, so the one thing that I would say is probably, even though they may not have gotten the exact wording of Jesus,
That's important
we
though.
tend to think. Hmm?
It's important though.
Yeah, I agree. I think that we all have this preconceived notion that the only times that Jesus preached were the times that were accounted in the Gospels. But we have to understand that
Yeah,
year he did years worth of ministry, so he was preaching all the time, and he
yeah, I
was
would agree with that. I agree.
so they probably heard these sermons multiple different times. So they it's likely to believe that I mean not likely to believe, it's probable that they got the gist of what Jesus was saying and were able to remember that and say it and get the general idea of what Jesus was saying.
But the reason we should know if we're being detectives, the evidence I would give to my fellow detectives is like, hey guys, this is more likely false because we start to see what it would look like if I separated the crew and asked them their stories. That like the important points, like they seem to deviate a lot, right? So like knowing when Jesus died, all of them should know that. But they're different. Morning time, afternoon time, what were Jesus' last words? Like those things should be so
Ooh.
specific and right that but they're not. And that's proof of the stories not being like what you're saying. That's proof of somebody hearing a different story and then another
Mm,
person hearing another story and then they write it down. And you remember, like, I think me and you said this, like, there was no Bible at the time, right? These were just
yeah.
a bunch of writings, different people. So it makes sense that the stories aren't all lined up because, oh, buddy heard this story over here. oh, buddy heard this story over here. That is why when we put it together, all of a sudden it looks weird. Like, wait, you said 12 o'clock? Nah, this my buddy over here, John, told me that Jesus died at 8 a.m.
Ooh, okay. So that actually is something that's interesting because when it comes to testimony in solving court cases, they actually advise the opposite. They say if all the stories line up in the specific ways, then the people who are giving that story are most likely corroborating and are lying. So you
Only
should expect
remember though, I'm talking about the key events, right? Like if
so
I'm a
you should
if I'm a detective, I don't care if both of y'all said that the guy killed the person with a knife. Like that should be like that whatever the person used as a weapon, I actually want to be the same when I'm hearing two different things. So like that doesn't go for everything. Like I get what you're saying, but like we have to be very specific here because if I'm a detective and I'm trying to figure out how this murder occurred, there are certain things that need to line up with the evidence. And if they do not, and one party is saying this and another party is saying that, that is the problem. Like
yeah, but
if I need to know what time you saw the person at the Walmart, and one of y'all tell me 12 o'clock, and another person tells me at whatever time, y'all should have the same time. The person
I
the
would
person only could have been there at a certain time.
I would disagree. I think that deviations can lead us closer to what actually happened.
Yeah, but not deviations
So
on that kind of stuff though.
why? Wait, I disagree.
Because the time is so important. Like if the murder happened at 1 o'clock and you were at Walmart at I don't know 6 a.m. and then I would have to build a case on like what you were doing from this time to this time. But if I see you at Walmart at 12:30 and I calculate that hey, it takes you 15 minutes to get here, now it's more likely. So like the time of something really makes a difference when we're talking about like detective work and stories and evidence and proof. It's not like you were mistaken on if my shoes were tied or something. That's a little bit more relevant unless a part of the story
oh, I
has
think
to
you got
do
out.
with that. Oh, sorry. Am I still here?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. I leaned back too far. It's different than like saying like your shoes weren't tied. If that really doesn't have anything to do with the murder, then okay, I really don't care if somebody says their shoes were tied or not. But if you're telling me something that was a part of the murder and they're two different stories, I can't really use that as evidence.
Uh, Actually, you still can, and that's why I'm saying
Oh, do you mean like good or bad evidence? I mean, I guess you're right. I can use it as evidence. But do you need
yeah.
me to say it like good or bad evidence?
I think that there is a not necessarily like good or bad, but there is a spectrum in which you can um hold the weight of the evidence. I think that it's really what the evidence points to that that you use in order to assess the degree in which you take it. So the time, I don't think necessarily the time of the event may not matter as much as the event actually happening.
Yeah, these. All right, I'm gonna go back to something real fast, just so you see my
Okay.
point to this. Like, we are talking about the most important event in the history of all living things. We have to stop treating it like it's not. Like, this is literally the most important thing that anyone could ever know. So, if these guys back then fucked up this bad, it cannot be that important. Like
I
we really have to focus on this. Is there literally is no other point in life besides what we're talking about if it's true. So for us to sit here and say that, oh, it's okay for them to screw up, that's insane to me, man. It's not okay that they screwed up. It's not, man. That like people's souls are on the line according to you. And it's not okay that these 12 people messed up that bad. That's not okay, man. And like we can't treat it as if it's just like, I don't know, even a murder. This is more important than a murder case. Like we like as a people together, like believers, non-believers, like we really have to start being honest about this story. And even if you believe it, like you cannot just say that it's okay that they may have messed up. It's not okay, man. Like, and I'm even pretending to believe with you. And it's just like, this would not be okay. This is not okay. They should have got everything exactly right. This is too important. It's like building a nuclear bomb. I don't give a crap. I don't want any mistakes. If I got a nuke, I don't want anyone making a mistake. And we would not be okay with anyone making a mistake. So why are we okay with the biggest nuke in history making mistakes, which is the Bible?
Well, I think that's just um what we expect of men, you know?
No, this is me
I
expecting of
understand.
God. This is me
I under,
expecting of God.
okay.
Unless you're admitting with
So
me that God didn't have anything to do with the Bible, then me and you are on the same page. I actually don't even critique the men that hard anymore. If me or you right now are going to say that men wrote the Bible, God didn't write it at all, I'm not even upset
yeah,
anymore. Like,
that's what I'm saying.
so
These
then
are
so then God
no
did not inspire it.
by inspire. I take inspiration different than a lot of people would. A lot of people say that literally it moved the Holy Spirit moved the hands of these men in order to pen the exact words and use the exact phrasing. I take inspiration in its literal meaning. It's just inspired by their experiences with the divine when it comes to that. So
Okay,
it's not
so
necessarily,
there's
yeah,
screw ups in there. Okay.
yeah.
All right. Well, okay. I don't
So
know what to say about that. If you agree with that, then I don't know. I would also wonder why you believe any of it, but
I think that the men were trying were doing their best to report as they knew how to. And yeah, if they disagree on those accounts, I think that they earnestly believe those things. That's
we can
that's it.
agree that I will not assume that they did not. Like I'll say that most likely they definitely believed what they were writing. Um, and I like yeah, that's it on that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But do you
And
see my problem with also like this? You're actually going through my transitions in learning, right? So I do studying in the Bible, right? And I kind of come to what you just said, like, wait, these guys got a lot of shit wrong. So then I go to the next step and I'm like, well, if it's true what they said a little bit about God, God wants me to know God, right? So then I'm like, why is God allowing all of these mess ups for people to be led astray? So it still falls back to like, why, if there's a God, it cannot be the God of the Bible. Do you agree with that?
I would disagree.
But after everything, but after all we just admitted to, like, how do you come to the same conclusion?
I would say that God gives us um our reasoning and rationing faculties in order to be able to seek the truth. And so I know that that might be um what you land on, but also I'm glad you're continuing to study scriptures. I would also just say continue to uh, continue to study whatever, because the truth is really what matters, and that you're being genuine and honest with whatever you read.
Well, you can't lie to
So,
God either way.
and I completely agree with that. And so
What
that's
about the people that know like way more than me, like actual scholars?
Yeah.
and so they also, some of them don't believe.
Yeah. I think that if they're genuine in their disbelief, I don't think that you can really fault them. But I think that when
Well,
it
I was
comes to
saying that because you were talking about studying, right?
yeah, and seek yeah, and I agree. And I think that they should also keep studying to seek out the truth. Even if the truth doesn't land them in in scripture or in Christianity, they should still seek out earnestly what truth is and what purpose is when it comes to these things, when it comes to these matters, because it's important.
Yeah, truth's important. That's all right. Interesting, man. Dang it, I forgot your name. What was I supposed to call you? Hey,
Uh, you can call me Zonius. You can call me
Zon,
Kendrick, bro.
Kindred. That's right, Kindred. That's what it is. That's what it is. Kindred. Yeah, I mean, I appreciate the conversation, man. I think probably at this point we might loop back around to the same stuff. Uh, because my and you can, and if this starts another conversation, that's fine.
Yeah, yeah.
But my thing is, how should I word this? Let's see. Oh, I actually wrote down a note to get back to, I believe. Was it you that's talking about hardening of hearts?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let's see. So the hardening of hearts. Oh, I think we already agreed that, because you did agree that God creates evil, right?
Passively, yes.
I don't think God can do anything passively. It's God.
Well, I mean, not passively, by proxy. My apologies. Yeah.
That still sounds like passively.
I mean, okay, okay. So
Just saying, bro. That sounds like a passively.
I'll try to. Yeah, yeah. So I would say yes. My answer
Oh,
would be yes.
so God, okay. Why?
Um,
Is it like a test?
no, no. I say because of virtue. Uh, you know, God's a maximally good being. So in order to maximize virtue, you have to have the possibility of evil.
Here's a cool question for you. So God is capable of doing the worst evil, right?
He can, but by his nature, he won't.
Then what's hell?
Hell is anything that is apart from God.
But God made
God,
it.
um, no, he did not make it.
Come on, let's think about that one.
Okay, so by hell, you know the different types of hell, yes or no?
We talking about some Dante's Inferno type stuff?
Uh, uh, no, Dante's Inferno
Like
is
different layers and all that?
no, no. There's Gehenna, which is like the whole lake of fire thing, which where Satan is going to go along with the Antichrist and those things, and then you have Hades, and then you have Sheol.
Okay, yeah, I heard, yeah, I heard of those. Which
Yeah,
Gehenna was just, I believe that is actually a real place too.
I'll have to look into that. Um, Let me make a note of that because I Gehenna.
One
But
second. It says laughing about hell. Here's the thing. I already spoke about this.
okay,
God, I'm sorry, I'm speaking to somebody in chat, just to be fair to you. God already knows whatever I think. So there's no point in me sitting here on this live talking to y'all in some way that is not just really what I think. So it's like, it's not being scared, it's not being scared, it's just literally
what you think?
I'm going to be honest, because
Yeah,
like whether I laugh at hell or not is irrelevant to if it's true. I guess that's my
right.
point. Let me just say that. Anyways, Of course, no one would be laughing if they went to hell. It's like that's just a ridiculous comment to make. Uh,
High key.
but
I don't. Okay, so me personally, I believe there's more scriptural basis to believe in annihilationism than there is to believe in an eternal conscious torment. Are you
yeah, but
familiar
that's
with the
I mean,
annihilationist
hey,
argument?
it doesn't matter. Torment is torment, bro. Like I don't know if you ever been mentally tortured. It still sucks.
I don't believe that there's mental torture involved either.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought I heard that. Oh, my bad. Okay.
No, no. Eternal conscious torment. Yeah, no. I believe in annihilationism.
Oh, okay, okay.
Um, yeah, because God is all good and he sustains the universe. There's no place that exists without Christ and
So
without
then
not Christ,
there's
but
no
without God.
there's no hell.
It's precise, but there is non-existence, right?
That wouldn't be hell. I'll sign up for
That's
non-existence.
hold up. Wait. So there's not a mention that there's like that's what hell, the destination would be for those who do not want to be aligned with God
But I don't
in
think
the
we would
after.
have. I don't think there would be a name for it.
Well,
Like if you're
hell is
non-existence, like that's not hell. Like like I was dead before I was born. I look at it that way. I've been dead for 14 billion. Or wait, how long have we been on the Earth? Like I forgot how old the Earth is. Like 4.5 billion. Like
yeah,
I've been dead for that like since the beginning of the damn universe, really, right? So it's just like
exactly. And
that's not hell.
that would be where you return. The Bible, you know John 3:16, right? That's like the most popular Bible
God
verse
so
of
loved
all
the world
time.
that gave his unforgotten son, that he not perish everlasting life. Yeah.
Yeah, the word there is a word that we see all throughout the New Testament and even through the Old Testament too, that perish for so that's not saying for whosoever believeth on him shall be saved. I mean shall not sorry. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son, that whosoever believeth in him shall not perish. It doesn't say shall not have eternal torment or shall not be mentally tortured. It says he shall not perish, but have everlasting life. So that entails a complete wipeout. You're not here. You're not anywhere
Okay,
anymore.
we're assuming again, right? Let's just be real.
No. I'm not assuming.
I mean, wait, you
I'm
have to be assuming because you don't know.
well. Well, what I'm saying
And the
is,
reason I say this is because there's plenty of Christians that would hop in here and tell you you're 100% wrong. And
well,
what's the difference between you two? And they would be able to point at scripture as well.
I would say just which one of us has the justification for believing that. I think that there are some people who can use scripture in order to make a case for eternal conscious torment. I just think that annihilationism is stronger just because of what we see throughout scripture and philosophically of who God is. If God is pure existence, then being departed from pure existence is non-existence. So by that virtue, that would mean that the eternity apart from God is non-existence.
Yeah, sure, but I get it. But what would like they would you would agree? I think that they would be able to quote scripture and kind of like you just gave an okay argument, right? I'm gonna agree with you. Okay, sounds good. Somebody else would be able to quote scripture and do the exact same thing, but opposite. Like, what do we do then? Because remember, the whole point of this is the truth, right? And
Yeah.
besides what my chatter here is saying, like, they don't know much about me too much, but I'm not the person you exactly think here. So my mind is definitely not made up. But get to know me a little more and lose the feelings. As in all my videos, I say throw away your feelings and question your beliefs. That would be one of the reasons why. You gotta throw away your feelings with this stuff because if the
Yeah.
truth is the only thing that's important, your feelings don't matter. Um, so my point to you, let you go ahead. When I was ranting to the chat, my bad. Uh,
You're all good. So,
what would you say to that other person telling me those things?
um, I'd say it's not entirely what you believe, it's what you can justify. So I would just Um, I'd say if I would ask them questions about what they think about the other verses and see if they have a concrete justification for
Doesn't
believing in eternal
Jesus doesn't Jesus say you'll burn?
who?
I'm asking. Doesn't I'm looking up something here. I'm pretty sure Jesus says that people are going to burn in hell. Yeah,
You're talking about the parable in Luke where the
maybe.
guy he looks up from hell.
Go ahead while I'm looking. I'll let you speak.
Um, I'm still we have to look at the intention of what Jesus was actually trying to say when it comes to the parable, um, because parables are not true events that happen, but they are stories that Jesus is telling in order to gain a certain message.
So
And what he was,
this would go against what you're saying a bit, right? So
how so?
it talks well what I'm about to read. Sorry.
Go ahead.
So it says Jesus describes a place that is unquenchable fire, weeping and gnashing of teeth. That is not some place where I don't exist anymore. That is a real place. Sounds horrible, by the way. Why would
What's
God do
the
that? Weeping and gnashing of teeth.
what's the verse,
Golly.
by the way?
Let's see. Weeping and gnashing of teeth. Hold on. My bad, dude. I should have had that for you.
You sure?
Um, let me just do it this way. You want to read it before you respond? That's fair.
Yeah.
Let's see. It says Matthew. Where's the damn verse? uh, there's a Matthew 8:12. There's a Matthew 13:42.
Mhm.
A lot of Matthew here. I think the one we want more is Matthew 13:42.
Mhm.
And will cast them into the furnace of fire. They will be weeping and wailing and grinding of teeth. There's a bunch on here though. You never like I've even heard this one. You never heard that?
Yeah. Hmm.
Like you never heard
I,
Jesus talking about weeping and gnashing of teeth? That's what they used to say in Sunday school, man. Scare the shit out of you.
yeah. I know that's actually kind of part of my testimony as well. Um, as a kid, they told me about that, and that was initially how I you know quote unquote got saved.
Wait,
But that ended up
why the quotes? Did you get saved or not?
no, because I did not get saved.
Oh, you did
I
it.
was
Oh, okay, you did it.
no. I think I was more so um trying to avoid hell rather than love God. And so, yeah, I
How
think
do
that
you?
was
That's a good. It's funny we're still talking after we said we weren't, but this is
yeah.
good. This is a good conversation, so it's cool. Um, how do you? Do you really love God?
I say I do.
Can you like give me? Is it like a different love? Because I feel like it can't be the way you love somebody in your life.
Um,
Is it like a respect, scared love? Like what is it?
it's a reverence. I would say it's definitely a reverence for God. And it's the emulation that I try to have on from the character of Christ in that way. Um, and I pray, I I do my best to make wise decisions on behalf of myself, my temple, and others. Um, just as just
You
as
said your temple?
my temple isn't like my body.
Oh. Oh, no, I wasn't gonna. I mean, I'm not judging. I didn't know if you were part of some temple or not. That's all.
Yeah, no. But yeah,
I think, to be like, this is, like I said, I'm a very honest person. I think that Christianity should be considered a cult, but the only problem with cults is, like, I go by definitions, and I don't know if cult necessarily means bad, but cult means bad. You know what I mean? Like, so
yeah.
it's just one of those things. Like, I don't know. I can think of situations where you're a part of a cult that's a good cult. So I don't know. Like if everybody decided to take care of each other, I would say that's a good cult. And I don't know. Maybe I'm
Okay,
wrong.
yeah, I mean, I got you. I think that mm, when it comes to a cult, the way that I think about it is that you have the central figure of the cult, like the person of the cult,
Just
and they are the one
Jesus in this
who,
situation.
yeah,
Right.
I guess
Right. Okay.
per se, um, but they are benefiting um off of the congregation while the congregation gains nothing. I think that that is what
I don't know. You see where I'm going to bring this one?
Loki. Loki.
Okay. So isn't that what's going on? So
Um,
God created all of this. Most people, by Jesus's words, are going to hell. Is that not what you just stated? Like, God gets all the praise and all the glory, which was what God wants, which is weird on its own. And most people get nothing out of it. Sounds like a bad cult.
I th- um, I disagree. I think that what we get out of it is
No.
um
What about almost all the people that don't get it?
oh okay, so
Like, most people don't
that's
get it.
also, I think that's also one of the aspects of a cult. Like when it comes to the out groups, they are to be kind of like shunned. You're shunned from congregating with any out groups. You're shunned from having any
That
kind of connection with
that
anyone who
sounds
is
like
not.
what Jesus. That's what sounds like what Jesus said.
But Jesus also said to love your enemies too. So even if someone doesn't agree with you, you're still or even live your lifestyle, you're still supposed to love that person,
Jesus
regard
all
and
Jesus
not with
also
any
said that he did not come for I forgot what it said. Sorry, he did not come for certain people. Paul, I think you're speaking more about Paul. Like, Paul changed a lot of what Jesus said. Jesus said he came for his people. Remember the woman that he called a bitch? Like, and he told her he did end up helping her, by the way, but he kind of condemned her at first, like saying he did
Yeah.
not, like, yeah. So I mean, I don't know, man.
But but we also see um in Matthew and that's also a different point. Jesus isn't coming that he could necessarily be he didn't come that he could be super exalted. He came to serve others, and that's exactly what he did. It wasn't like he was doing it for his glorification, but he did it for the sake of other people.
I would agree with you, and I did agree with you at one point until I looked at this detail. Why didn't Jesus go anywhere else?
Um, what do you by anywhere else? What do you mean?
Literally,
Just like
like Jesus, like let's just be real. I think me and you here right now, if we were God, we could come up with a better plan. Why did Jesus first be born, then disappear for 15 years and then come back and then only be there for, what was it? What did he preach for? 5 or 6 years?
No, he started his ministry according to church tradition. He started his ministry at 30 years old. He had
So
a 3 year
like
ministry.
3 years. Yeah, 3 years. Yeah. So like 3 years. Does that tie into what you were just saying?
Make the connection for me, please.
Okay, so I am saying like this is something that Jesus wanted to serve everyone, right? And I was giving examples on how Jesus really didn't come to serve everybody, which is also hint that it was made up by the people that made it up. He only came to serve his people. Why didn't Jesus go to the Americas? Like why
Okay.
didn't Jesus travel to India? Even though there are some stories, by the way. I'm gonna pretend those stories aren't real. But why didn't Jesus go across the world? That's way more important. Why didn't Jesus die at like 200?
Okay.
Like what if that was the story, bro? And like real proof, by the way. Like Jesus, there was this man that came and he lived to freaking 400 years old, and all he did was go around the earth and preach to everyone. Even me saying that story gives me more of a fuzzy vibe than the Jesus story.
That's
Because if that's what there's way better ways of Jesus to have done what Jesus did, which makes me. And here's the thing I want to say this to you real fast, and I'm going to let you speak because I'm speaking too much at the moment. But I actually give God. Wait, how do I say? I actually expect more out of God than you, I think. Go ahead. Yep.
Okay, so to your point, I can't really, I don't think any of us can pop our minds into anybody and say, oh, this is the reason why, da 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 da. But we can try to deduce like why. But I'm not gonna pretend to speak like completely on God's behalf on why he didn't do something. But what I can
But bro,
say
that's all
is,
we're doing. You say that, but that's literally all you can do.
yeah. But what I am saying is, if God is supposed to be an example for all of mankind, right?
Jesus,
Jesus is supposed to be an example for all of mankind, right?
Jesus, yeah, okay. I'm going with the story. Yes.
So, uh, you can us in our lives, we may not be able to go all the way across the world or anything, but we can impact the people who are around us. And we can impact things for the greater good in the areas that we go, wherever we go. So it doesn't matter exactly where we are or where Jesus was, it's the impact that we make in the lives of the people who are around us. And that's what's going to create a change for the entire world.
Okay. I think you've spoken to me enough by now to probably know where I'm going, but we have to remember every time we're doing these analogies, it's the same thing I keep saying, man. We are talking about the most important thing, the most important being, and yeah, those two things, by the way, because the most important thing is for everyone to know Jesus Christ, because that is the only way to eternal life. Or believe in Jesus Christ, not even just know, because Satan knows Jesus, right? So it's just like to actually believe in Jesus Christ's sacrifice. If that is the basis point, or if that is the basis of the whole point of Jesus, then what you are saying actually makes no more sense to me again.
How
Because
so?
Jesus was supposed to come to save everyone, not just the people around him. So now
Exactly.
the Mayans that lived back then, they never heard of Jesus. They're dead. So what happens to those people, man? That's not cool.
Well, we also see in
That's really not cool, by the way. Like, I don't want to skip over that. Like, if this story is true and Jesus didn't go speak to the Africans and and the Chinese and the Mongolians and anybody, the Viking people, whatever was going on back in the time. I'm not sure about my history on that. That's not cool, man.
I agree with you. I completely agree with you.
But
And
those people are going to hell.
maybe not. Maybe not.
But what do you mean? What do you mean? They
Hold
didn't even.
on.
Oh, okay,
Wait,
and
let me
even if hell is your version, that's still not fair.
let me explain. Let me
Like.
explain.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So, we see, of course, we see Paul in one of his letters. He talks about where there's no law, there is no transgression of the law. So, there are a couple there are a couple things that we could say about that when it comes to different cultures who may not have encountered Christ or know anything about God. But we also see in in Peter's writings that after Christ, whenever Christ was, whenever he was in the cross for the 3 days that he was essentially in the grave, Peter says that he was preaching to the dead. So from that we know that Christ can preach to people who are not alive or on this earth anymore.
that's a good
Christ
twist. I'll give you that one. That's a good twist.
Yeah, if Christ can preach to those who may not know him and reveal himself to them, they still have an opportunity and a choice to not only know him but also choose him.
Yeah. Okay. I just say this is a good twist. I don't think it's the best answer. By the way, I just said that's it. I like the way you flipped that. But the whole point is right. Like that's not fair for them to have to go to hell first.
They're not going to go to hell first. They go.
Wait.
Sheol has never been described as a place of torture or anything like that.
Oh,
It's
okay,
just where
I got you. You're literally believing that like they're like people in like Abraham's bosom type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So
Now
that's where they'll go.
Here's my next thing, and like I said, I'm always gonna hit hard on these things. What we have an all powerful God. Why is God doing all of that? Because you just said God, like I'm like if we go back to our conversations, I was like, why doesn't God just show up? You're kind of saying God shows up, but supposedly God never shows up like I can prove it. He shows up when you're dead. Like that's kind of what you're saying to me. Like God shows up when you're dead. Like why not just do it now?
Uh,
Like literally open a hole up in the sky right now and just show up. Like I pray for that right now, man. Like literally, like as I'm speaking, just open a just open a hole up in the sky, man, and save everyone. Like I'm being so
okay.
honest, like right now. Like just do it. Like what is stopping God from doing that? Why am I sitting here begging for that and it's not happening right now?
You have
Like
to.
that's crazy, man.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
You
Sorry.
have to. You're fine.
It's like crazy.
You have to understand when it comes to God's nature, and even in the example of Christ, it's two wills that are at play here. It's my will be done, and then it's thy will be done.
Yeah, but my will, I'm assuming you're saying God, right? Or no, thy, sorry. Thy will be done seems to be like, hey, I'm just gonna hide.
No, what I'm saying is for us, it's we say my will be done, or we say thy will be done.
Cool. 1 second, real fast. I gotta respond to this. It says a wicked and adulterous generation seeketh after a sign. Then Jesus literally was doing exactly what you're saying is a bad sign. Jesus came to earth and was speaking to everyone that he knew. So you are saying that that is evil, by the way.
Hold on. Wait. Read after that. He says, but none shall be given into it, but the one of the sign of Jonah.
No, but I'm saying like seeking the sign. Right. What like no, but he's saying seeking the sign. That he's saying that is bad to seek the signs. Yet Jesus came and gave signs.
You also gotta read the rest of the verse, my man. You gotta read the verse of the verse. He said, "None shall be given into it, but the one, the sign of Jonah." And
Yes, but
that is
that's
him
not
prophesying.
but that's not what
Wait,
happened. Jesus came and did things.
wait. He said, "But none shall be given to it, but the sign of Jonah." That he should essentially 3 days and 3 nights, just as Jonah was in the belly of the whale. The Son of Man will be 3 days and 3 nights in the heart of the earth. He's
Okay,
talking about his death and resurrection. That's the only sign that we should look for.
yes, yeah, but okay. I think you're missing my point. My point is that Jesus did more than just that. Like
Yeah, but
I
that's
get the
because of
verse, but Jesus said screw that verse because Jesus came and showed off.
hold on.
And I don't mean show off in a bad way, by the way. Jesus came and
Yeah, I
showed
got you.
off.
But the people who believe on Jesus because of those miracles, they're believing in they're not believing in the Son, they're believing in those miracles. So many people had witnessed Jesus work miracles and even benefited off of those and still decided to walk away. You remember the story of the
That
10 lepers? When it
that
comes to when the story of the 10 lepers, Jesus healed he healed those guys. And they walked off and they did their own thing, but only
that's
one person came back
that's
and
fair,
wanted Jesus.
man. That's fair. We're talking like why is God's feelings hurt?
God's
Okay,
feelings aren't
okay,
hurt.
cool. So then guess
Or
what? Jesus should come and do whatever because the most important thing is for everyone to have a relationship with God. I don't get how this is me really. I think we're making up all these damn rules to explain why Jesus doesn't show up. Like that's all we're doing right now is making up excuses for why God doesn't show up because we all know deep down it does not make sense unless we make up an excuse. If your father did not show up, you call your father a bad father. If your mother was never there, she is a bad mother. You do not make excuses for parents that aren't there for their children. And now we're talking about an all-powerful being. So if my dad or my mother was an all-powerful whatever, and they like say my dad was president, and he told me he never could find the time or the money to come see me, I would call bullshit. Like that's some bullshit, man. Like I don't know how else to say it. Like we are giving so many excuses for something that we are saying that is the most powerful thing, and it's going to punish us for not knowing it. Like guys, like really think about this, guys. Like what are we talking about here?
while I
There is
disagree,
something that is going to punish people for not knowing it, but it won't show up. That is the most evil shit that I can think of.
okay.
If I
So
punish my kids for something that I never like I don't know. Like if I punish my kids and I'm like, hey, if you I don't even know how to say it. It's so ridiculous. If I like give my kids this criteria that they could never accomplish, and the only way they could accomplish it is if I did it and I don't do it, you guys would call me an evil father. Like you would not make an excuse for me. But for some reason, God, we make this excuse to be an evil father. Like I don't understand that at all. Like it just doesn't make sense. Like why are you giving God excuses when you wouldn't give people the same excuse?
um okay. Uh
Like let's just focus on the not showing up right now, real fast.
if
Like just like to shrink it down. Like why if your father was never around, why is he a bad father but God's not?
I personally I think it's just um the way that he's shown up. Personally,
But that's not
that's
showing up. And I had a
Well,
great dad. I had a great dad, by the way. So these aren't daddy problems. And so
and
I'm just stating this. Like, if my dad did not show up, I would not call him a good dad.
you're talking to well, you're also talking to someone who has a father who's been absent for a majority of my dad's been absent for a majority of my life.
Okay, and
I've met,
for good
uh,
reason or no?
no,
Okay, so is that good?
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't say it's good.
Okay,
But
so then
the reason
why would if your dad was God, it's good now, right?
I say that God's shown up for me, I would say not only in just the way that he's um that I've seen God work in my life personally, but
So
I know
you've seen
anecdotes
God.
aren't really
You've seen God.
like
Like, cause like, and
for semantic reasons.
let me be detailed on this.
No, I have
If
not seen God for
okay, if my
but
dad sent me money all the time and never showed up, I still say that is not showing up. So
that's
providing for me is
that's
irrelevant. That's not what I'm saying. As a father or as a parent, period, they should be there for their children and having an actual relationship. So just
right.
because my dad gave me a great life and I never saw him, I would still say that's bad.
Mm.
You,
Well,
you don't agree?
when it oh, sorry.
No, no,
Uh,
I'm asking. I said you don't agree with that, or
if like about the money thing and about showing up, what it means to show up.
yeah, because you said provide and stuff, right? So
Oh, oh no, no,
somebody
I
can
didn't.
provide. Oh, go ahead, go ahead. I could have
What I meant
misunderstood
by
you.
provide was just like that. I didn't get to finish, but my providing an example in a way that we ought to live, you know, in providing us His Son that we could have life with Him, you know.
Oh, we're just dropping it down the line, so that's fine. So why doesn't not okay? My father can show up. Why can't my father's representative show up all the time? Like we would, like we require. This is my thing on like we require more from each other than we do for the creator. Like
Okay, so
even
given
you not knowing me require more from me than you do God. That's insane.
okay, if we were to be given the Christian worldview, if that is if we are to say that Christianity in itself is is true, the reason why we can even be with one another and exist with one another is due in part to God. And the probability, and not probability, but the possibility that we have to endure and to have this human experience at all is it speaks to who God is. And so in
Wait,
that
how's that?
vein, we because we're able to love one another, we're able to create with one another, we're able to forbear one another, you
Bro,
know.
you're so with me right now, but for
I,
some reason you go off on something else when we speak about God. Because how do we know that we are loving towards each other sometimes? How do we know that?
how do we know that we're loving towards one another?
Yes, we see it. Just like this, how you know when somebody's not loving, we see it. What love has God shown anyone that you can prove? By the way,
Well, that I can prove.
yeah, because I can
You
prove
know,
that hey, my wife showed me love by this, or I can prove my son showed me love by this, or whatever. Blah 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 blah. Keep going. I can prove when I feel like somebody has shown me love. Doesn't mean it's love or not. Whatever. Like what has God done to show that God loves us?
Um, I, if do you mind if I give a verse to back up what I'm saying as well?
As long as you can provide evidence that the verse is true. Because remember, my examples was I could sit here and tell you how my son has shown me love, or my daughters have shown me love, or my wife has shown me love, or my mother or my father. I can give you examples. Because if I just said, hey, my parents loved me, and you were like, well, how do you know? I would give examples. But if I ask you, like, hey, how does God show you? It's going to be very vague, and you're not going to have proof, most likely, unless you've seen God. And then we can have a whole nother story or talk, because I want to speak to somebody that's seen God, and we can talk, and hopefully they have proof.
I have a,
I would love to. Yeah. Anyways, it's
I
just
have
like
a bit of a
a ghost. I would love to see a ghost.
got you. I have a bit of an argument as to why God is immaterial, but that's the whole different story. That's a whole different. And I know I've
Well,
taken up a lot of your time.
no,
But
no, we've been doing good, brother. But for my thing with that is, if God is immaterial, is that more of a sign? Like, I'm pretending with you that God's real. That means the Bible is still wrong, because it never could know what God wants. Like, to me,
hold on.
even if oh, go ahead. Yep, go ahead.
Just saying, just because God is immaterial does not take away his omnipotence or any of his omni properties, right?
If God can mess with us, then it can be material too.
God can okay, so do you have to that's interesting. So I don't think you have to, like, if we had a computer program, like uh you don't have to like be in the computer to move the mouse, right?
Yes, but you're
In the
getting
same
with
way,
me real fast. You're getting with me. You're getting with me. I can
in the
never
same,
I can never speak to the computer program. All I can do is move the mouse, and the computer program would never know what the hell I really mean. All it knows is its numbers. It knows zeros and ones as I move this mouse. So say we're inside of the computer, and
yeah.
it's trying to talk to me. It never could speak to me, and I never could speak to it. I literally would not even know how to speak to it.
Uh
All I could do is make functions and do things. I could write code to make it do things, but the actual programs inside of the computer would never have a clue on why they're doing what they're doing, and I would never be able to explain on why it's doing what it's doing.
to that I kind of disagree, but
I mean,
I would
I'm a software guy, so I love it. Like, if I make a
yeah.
computer game, I could never explain to the character that I create what it is.
Um
There'd be no way for me to do it. It's like impossible. Like, it can't think.
I'd say partially because I think that's also the limitations on our end because we
Yes,
don't
yes.
even
That's what
really
I'm saying. Yes.
but but what I'm saying is if you did understand how your brain works, you could theoretically create a code that would emulate that
The
pattern of human thought.
emulation is the key, right? Emulating
Yeah.
does not actually correlate to actuality, if I'm saying that right. Like, it's not
That is interesting. That is
it's
interesting.
it's not actually what's going
Ah,
on. I'm trying to replicate it, right? Like, that's all it is I'm
and,
replicating it. But I
but
never
that's
really
also
know. And I can get close, by the way. Don't get me wrong. Like, let's just say God is doing what I'm doing and we're getting close to it. I never really would know what God is saying, like, exactly, right? Like, even if I could put the puzzle pieces together in the computer program, and it's like, okay, this is the picture, it would still be slightly off.
yeah, okay. So that's awesome. But that still doesn't get around the so that still doesn't get around the thing that it's still able to compute the what it's saying. It may differ on how it the program might differ in how it interprets the information per se. Just like how we have difference in how we interpret what is being said, that does not create an absence in something being said.
It creates a problem as far as the if there's a purpose, by the way. Remember, this is all assuming that there's a purpose. If there's no purpose, I don't think what I'm saying matters. If there is a purpose, then communication and knowing what needs to be known is very important. If there is no
Yeah,
purpose and God just set this up, like Prometheus, you seen that movie? I love it. Like
I
if
haven't seen Prometheus yet. No.
yeah, if God just threw everything in motion and then walked away, I what you're saying, I get it. But if there is any consequence for me not knowing what God knows or wants, that is the problem. That is the programmer's fault. Like if God programmed us and I don't know what God wants, that's the programmer's fault. I didn't ask to be here. That's another problem of mine, by the way. Like God gave nobody a choice. That's I don't know. That's
But
another
then again,
subject.
if I can be not necessarily coy, but we all have a choice. We could literally leave this earth anytime we wanted, but we don't.
I don't think everybody can, but that'd be
Really?
another discussion. I don't like because I don't think everybody has the capacity to do it themselves. If you can, you can. Uh, but I think we're pre-programmed in a lot of ways. Like you either can do something or you can't. You don't know until you do it. But that's the whole like non-free
Well,
will subject.
I'm tempted to go into this, but
Well, I don't believe in real free will, and it might be coming from how I used to believe in God. Like if God is real, there is zero free will. Uh,
okay. So,
go-
um, for, uh, from your last conversation, you're a materialist or a physicalist, right?
yeah, yeah.
Then how do you?
Everything's material. Yeah.
Okay, so that's interesting. So
Okay.
you don't think that, yeah, you don't think that physicalism sort of undermines kind of like a determinist type of thinking?
Why?
Like
But if it's
because
material, wouldn't it be determinist?
it, hmm, or at least like okay, so anything that is a part. Okay, so I would say no because what part of you is doing the experiencing if it's simply just a material
Um,
existence?
it's the collection of all the materials together that create me. Um, even if God made me, by the way, this is what's
Yeah, yeah,
cool
yeah.
about it to me, right? It's just a bunch of shit was put together and it's me. From that moment, I have no control because I didn't make myself. I didn't make the pieces that made myself. I didn't make the particles that were around when I was born that set me on this course. Like everything is set on a course from the beginning of whatever we want to call the beginning, whether that's God creating me or whether that's the Big Bang inflation event. Like the fact that particles all went a certain way in a determined way, because once you set them a certain way, they're only going a certain way, right? So that is actually everything we see, in my opinion. Now, I have the illusion that I am making choices, but in reality, if I had a, it would have to be like God, like machine, by the way. Uh, you would know every single thing that I would ever do,
But
which
that's
means it's already determined. Which
oh
means I didn't choose anything. It was determined from that first. I don't even know how to explain it, right? It's like It's the I don't know. It's the first particle that went to the left instead of the right.
Okay.
And that's a
Okay.
joke. Joke, not a joke.
I got you. And I wish I could. Oh, I wanted to respond to another point you made, but I'll stick to this one. So the interesting part about materialism and physicalism is that it's circular in nature. Like you're using the material mind to also prove the material mind.
No, because I am saying that since I am saying that everything is already determined, I am saying that our conclusions are most likely incorrect too. Which is why I think whatever we're talking about God is just probably wrong. It's almost impossible for us to be correct. We don't have or we can't have enough information because of this deterministic universe that I'm talking about.
Ooh. Okay.
Like
So, ooh,
we are limited to our limits. Let me just say it that way. We're
yeah.
limited to our limits, and that's it. It doesn't mean that you can't get better at things or not get better, because some people jump on me about that. But I am saying, like, you don't know your limits, but you have limits. So I would never tell like my child to never try things because I don't know their limits, but they do have limits. I just don't know what the hell they are. And if I knew their limits, I would gear them, I would sway them towards what their best potential was, by the way. But you don't know these things. You don't know. But everybody has limits. But do I agree with discriminating against people? No, because none of us know what those limits are. And do I agree that you shouldn't debate with people? I say no as well, because I don't know what your limits are. Because some people would use that against me and be like, well, wait, why do you talk to people then if everything's determined? Because I don't know what is determined. I don't know what the path is going to be. So we're all just doing what we were supposed to do. This is obviously my opinion. We're all just
Yeah.
doing what we were supposed to do since the beginning of whatever we want to call time. And there is this illusion that we are tinkering with everything. That's just my personal opinion on it. And I think it comes from me believing in God, by the way. I don't see how, if God is true, that we are doing anything on our own.
Okay, and I think that goes back to a point that I made earlier that knowledge uh, does not equal causation. Like I could theoretically, if I had a time machine, and I could go back to the past, but I knew you ate a sandwich today, right? You ate a sandwich today,
Sure.
and and I knew you ate a sandwich, and I went back in time 2 days. And that event circles right back around to happening again. That doesn't
Okay.
mean I caused you to eat the sandwich.
Yeah, but that's once again, are we saying that God's not all powerful?
No, I'm saying that God is all knowing, but he's not
Yes.
he's not
Cool.
deter-
But are we
he is
saying that
not in
are we saying that God is not all powerful?
saying that God is all powerful, he uh but he has instances where he allows for us to have our own choices.
Cool. So like I'm not like this is not a trap in a way. This is just like we're thinking
Yeah.
here. So
Yeah.
God can be all powerful.
Mhm.
God can know everything we're doing, and I'll be
Yeah.
cool and agree with you on that. There should be no punishments.
Disagree because it's still our choice.
But God is all powerful. That's the key.
Yeah. And you also have to
God doesn't. There's no need for punishment. There's a reason.
And I don't believe that there's necessarily like I said, I hold to the annihilationist view, but so I don't believe that there's
Even that I would say is a punishment.
How so?
Because like it should be. Here's the fair way to do it, man. If God wants to come talk to me, fine. Like the fair way to do it is literally just present everybody with an option and let them really choose. But the only way you can choose and choose correctly is by having all of the information. There should be no questioning or anything. If and like I like to keep doing this as a parent, if I present my child with a punishment and a gift and they don't know how to get to either, I'm a bad parent.
I,
Like that's
okay.
not cool, right? It's just not cool,
So
man.
hold
It's
on.
not cool.
And I would agree. Um, okay, is this a possibility? Is this a possibility? Okay, so what if it's a possibility that God has revealed himself to you?
It
However,
it
you've
doesn't
chosen to however you've chosen to reject that
I don't
as
agree with
the
I
notion that
don't
he's
agree with
truthful.
that because God is all knowing and God is all powerful. Remember, those are the two key things.
I agree.
God knows what it would take for me to know God is there. And like I said, which is weird, and I kind of hate that about myself in a way. Like I believed in God
Yeah.
and God still never showed up. That's kind of scary, bro.
What if that was all that you needed and you wanted more?
No, that's that's not how it
What
works. That's not how
if
it works.
what okay, okay. So yeah, what if why don't you think that that's how it works? I think that you can genuinely not believe something, of course, and you can genuinely believe something, but um
Okay,
and
remember though, okay, are we agreeing that God actually wants a relationship or no?
I agree.
Okay, so as soon as we say that, you have to understand why I'm saying it's wrong. If God didn't want a relationship with me, dude, we're good. Like everything I'm saying is pointless and stupid. But the fact that we are agreeing that God wants a relationship, I am saying that is the problem.
Okay, have you heard the story of the man? I know I asked you about it, but have you heard the story about the man on the boat? I mean, the man on the island.
Yeah, that's waiting on God to yes.
Save him.
Like waiting
What
on
if that's
God sends something. Yeah. God sends something. God sends something. And
what if that's
he's
the
still on island.
instance? What if
Yes.
that's the
Okay.
instance?
Here's the key. If that man gets punished for not recognizing the signs, that's God's fault.
Okay. So, and I
Don't
also
skip that. I want to I want you to think because you gave the analogy and I gave an answer to the
yeah,
analogy. I want to hear your response to that. If God is
yeah,
going to
I'm
punish the
addressing.
man for not recognizing the signs, and God's all powerful and all knowing, by the way, these still
Yeah,
okay. All right, go ahead.
he's not. My thing. Well, my answer and address to that is that God does not punish the man.
He
It's not a
dies.
punishment. He, yeah, but he dies of his own hubris.
He didn't want to die, bro.
God sent him a boat so he
But
wouldn't die, but he didn't accept that
yes, but
because because he was thinking God would show up in this one way
but
when
God
in reality
but God
there were other vehicles that God had put in place so
do
that
you
he
not
may
realize
live.
how evil that is?
How
Like
so?
because God knew that he would not take the boat. God knew he wouldn't take the boat, man, and still sent the boat. How evil is that? Like I could do that to my children. Like I know some of the choices my children are going to make, right? And I'm not evil, so I don't put them in situations to where they're going to make a choice that I know they're going to make and it kill them because that would be horrible. Like I can definitely read my children's minds sometimes, but I would never trick them and be like, "Hey, if you do this, you're going to get in trouble," and then put them in the position to where they, of course they were going to do that. Obviously, this ties into the Garden of Eden and why I think that's a horrible situation.
In
You
which
would
I
you would call me
go ahead.
bad if I did that. So in this island scenario, God knows that everything that he gave, right? I forgot how many things it was, but however many things God sent, 3 things. Okay. He knew he was never going to accept those 3 things. So why send them?
He sends. It's the reason why we all have the opportunity to either choose God or not. It's the possibility that we may accept him, because that's what God's intention is to do. He's trying to build virtue within human beings so that we may choose him and make wise and righteous decisions. That was can you agree with me that that was an unwise choice for him to reject the boats?
No, because I don't know everything. What if there is wolves on the boat? I'm joking, not joking.
I got you.
Like he sees the boat and there's wolves on it. I don't know there was wolves. I just see this fool not get on the boat. I don't have all the information. And that's why I'm saying the information is so important. And God holds all of the information, which means God.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So, okay. So even in your kid's example, right?
Yeah.
You could make all the provisions in the world. You could tell them not to do this thing. You can tell them to, um, you can make yourself evident and present all that you want. It is still their decision at the end of the day to heed to you and to trust you as their father. It's their decision, and they have the freedom to. Well, I know you don't necessarily believe in you believe in an illusion of free will, but they still decide at the end of the day. That decision is theirs to bear, whether or not to trust you or to trust their own experience and lean on their own understanding in that way.
Yeah. What are you missing again? I'm gonna teach you, bro. I'm gonna teach you, bro.
Bro, but that's when I was okay. I think you're misunderstanding.
There is a
one thing that I think.
Hold on, real fast. This is so important to me, and if you watch my stuff, man, this is what I'm trying to present to everybody. There is a big, huge difference when you have power, man. Like I even have some political stuff on my channel because if you have power, your responsibility is not the same as others. Like we really have to hone that into our society, by the way, because right now we have a government that thinks they can do whatever the fuck they want and condemn us for the things that they do, right? So if you have power, you don't get to be like me. If I ever grow to like Joe Rogan size podcast or some shit, I now have a bigger responsibility. I don't get to be this same person anymore. Is that the more people I can influence, the more responsibility I have. And we're talking about God. God has more responsibility than any person ever in existence. And I hate the fact that we act like God has no responsibility. That is just called authority. Like, sorry, what is it? Like, I don't know. Like, that's just saying like the person with the more authority gets to get away with whatever the hell they want. Like we would never accept that in our society, but for some reason we accept that from what we say is the creator. The creator of the universe gets to just do whatever, and we have to do all the work. Like that makes no sense. Why are you elected as the creator then?
Have you?
Don't skip what I said though. I don't want you to skip that, man.
I'm not skipping what you said.
Okay. All right.
I think that a lot of politicians and people of power, and your outlook when it comes to those things is coming from a very utilitarian world, a utilitarian view. Is that correct? Would I be correct?
It comes from a view that they would want if they weren't who they were.
Oh,
I know what you mean by Unitarianism. Sorry, but I want utilitarianism. Sorry. But I want to focus on this real fast because people use like words like that or socialism or communism. But my point is if the president of the United States right now was not the president of the United States and he was me, he would not want him to be the president of the United States. Like the way they treat people because they have power is so insane. And then it's like God, the God of the Bible, does that, but times 2 million infinity. The God of the Bible should not be punishing anyone, man. Everything is God's fault. Everything is under God's control. No one should get punished. No one. We shouldn't even be doing what we're doing right now. To be fair, like, let's just say this is real. We should already just be in heaven. Like, it should just be.
Okay. So when I say utilitarianism, what I mean by that is God is whenever you have a utilitarian approach to something, you're seeking the greatest amount of good for the greatest amount of people, right?
Okay, my bad. My bad.
Yeah, that's what utilitarianism is.
Yep. Okay.
And it doesn't necessarily matter the means in which you achieve that.
I disagree with that.
I'm saying no. This is what utilitarianism takes into account. It's more so numbers based. It's more so the greatest amount of happiness for the greatest amount of people. That is the very utilitarian aspect of the ethics worldview. What I'm saying is, God is not operating off of that ethical framework.
God shouldn't be. God's God.
Yeah, God is operating off of a virtue ethical framework.
What is virtue?
Okay, so virtue, essentially, it's those meaning-making qualities.
Say again?
Meaning-making qualities.
Meaning-making qualities.
Yes.
Keep going. Keep doing your definition for me.
Got you. So meaning-making qualities. That's what God is out there. That's his main.
Don't skip, because I'm still not understanding what you mean by it.
Okay. So
meaning-making qualities. So now I need an understanding of what you mean by that. Because to me, you said virtue, and then you said meaning-making qualities, which means now I'm just asking what meaning-making qualities is.
So meaning-making qualities, essentially, it's the ethical. I know I'm trying not to use like giant words to kind of or loaded words. Essentially, it's that our actions and our characteristics and our behaviors have real world weight to them, and the understanding of the consequences of those actions.
Yes. Okay. So what was God doing before everybody was here?
Before everyone was here, like,
yeah. Before God created anything, what was virtue?
He was, in the Christian worldview, he was, we believe in the Trinitarian God, of course, God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, but there, Scripture doesn't necessarily say exactly what God was doing before creation. It just starts us off with,
the reason I'm asking is because you're going to have to assume, because you are saying you're giving me a reason why God is doing what God is doing. So I'm like, well, if God has never changed, if God never changes, then God would have had that same feeling, I guess, before anything was created, right?
Yeah. So God was eternally good to God the Father was eternally good to the Son and the Holy Spirit, and the Son was eternally good to God.
So cool. So why is anybody created? They're happy.
And I would say because creation is a quality of goodness.
God was missing something, correct?
No, God was not missing anything.
Yeah, of course God was. Come on, don't laugh at me, bro. You're literally admitting it here.
No, I'm sorry. I know I wasn't laughing at you. I promise I wasn't laughing at you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't mean it in a serious way. Oh, my bad. That's probably my tone. My tone. Sorry, I apologize. I didn't take it offensive. But
You're fine.
I'm saying like focus on that real fast. That you're
Yeah.
saying that God had all the virtue God needed, but God decided to create something.
Yeah.
That means God needed something.
No, it doesn't mean he
Mm.
needed anything. It's just a decision that he made. Creation
Was it an
isn't
accident?
necessarily I was saying creation isn't necessarily a selfish act per se.
Uh, in God's situation, creation would be selfish. And God actually, if we're going by the Bible, God actually gives those traits. God is very selfish. I think we could agree on that.
Uh,
Like
mm,
God is the most selfish being there would be. If you are if you are all powerful and can do anything, yet you still create things that can't even become close to like you and judge them for not being like you, that is probably the most selfish thing I can think of.
okay. So that and I have a point to that as well. Um,
Like, I don't know. Let me look
so
up the definition of selfish. Maybe I'm wrong. But I think that is the most selfish thing you can do. Uh,
I think the most selfish
okay,
thing that
selfish.
okay,
Selfishness, the tendency to act excessively or solely in one's own self-interest, often prioritizing, prioritizing, I can't speak, personal
you're good.
advantage, pleasure, or welfare on the expense of others. That is God 100%. That definition is God.
Okay.
Like,
So
let me know what part of
all
that
right.
you don't like there.
So I definitely agree with the definition. I don't agree with attributing that to God.
Okay, why not?
I would say that because um, the Christian God, he creates for creation's sake. He doesn't lack anything
He has to. Why create?
for creation's sake because it is good that
Okay,
God creates.
that's circled, right? You said the circled arguments.
A circular argument. Okay, so I think that okay. Um, can we agree? The Christian worldview would just say that creation in itself is a good act. And
Yes, but I think we've already. I think you agreed that creating something is not always a good act.
I,
So because what
I didn't.
I think you're saying if God creates, it's automatically good. But that's
No,
circus.
no.
Okay, you're not saying that. Okay, okay.
What I'm
Be-
saying is because God is good, He creates.
that doesn't correlate.
Okay,
Just because you're
it's
good
not that
doesn't
good is
mean.
something. Oh, sorry. Uh,
No, no,
I
you're
was just.
good. Go ahead.
Uh, it's not that good is something that necessarily transcends God, but it's within His nature to be good. And so whenever he creates something, it's with that intention to be good and to have those things become or be maximally good. But he can't have but the way that things work is that in order for those things to be maximally good, you have to allow for the potential for things not to be. That way you
I
can bring forth a greater good.
I disagree, man, because if you're already maximally good,
Yeah.
you don't have to do all those things that me and you would agree on. Like if me and you are talking like fathers, I kind of agree with you, bro. And it's only because I don't have all power. I would be like, "Hey man, you kind of got to let your kid cry." Right? Like I would tell people that. Like I was like, "Hey, you got to let your baby cry sometimes." If I was all powerful, I would not say that because there would be no reason for me to let the baby cry. The only reason I let the baby cry is because I don't have the same power that crying gives to the baby, if you get what I'm saying. Like, letting the baby cry gives it some other thing that I cannot let it, or I can't automatically give it. So I let it cry. So it learns something. But if I was all powerful and I could just put it in the baby to have already known these things, the baby would never cry. Or
But
it would only cry when it was really needed. Let me say it in that way.
and I, and that's where I say, and that's why the virtue ethics come in. I think that, that's interesting. That last part you said it would only cry whenever it's necessary. You said.
Yeah, because like I'm assuming that sometimes it's okay to cry, not okay to cry. Sometimes there would be a reason to cry, right?
I guess. Yeah. I think that's hmm. That's tough. I'm sorry. My brain's a little bit gone. I was about
Hey,
to say
that's all
something
right,
and it
man.
just left.
We've been talking.
um,
We've been talking a little while, so if you want to go ahead and
yeah.
we can shut it down, man.
Um, I do want to make that last point. It may
Go
cut
ahead.
another come to me. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
But um, that just goes into um, you know, the whole necessary evils argument, which is
You're trying to start a
uh,
whole nother one.
yeah, that goes into yeah. But I'm sorry, I'm not trying to start all the. but but that's interesting because if we have a baby who has all the information and all the necessary things not to cry, is that more important and more like virtuous than a baby who will learn from those experiences and become wiser and a better sense of character
Yeah.
for the
What am I gonna say,
baby
bro? What am I gonna say?
brother. And
Because
that's what and I
we're
agree, and I'm agreeing with you because he's God. That's what he will do. Okay,
God,
I'm
God,
sorry.
God does not need to do anything that we would say we need to do.
I don't think. Yeah, I agree. I just think that it's the way that
So, in
things.
that, since we're coming to a closing real fast, I just want everybody like to hear this real fast. The
Okay.
reason this is important is because it's us that is making up God. That is why these things make sense to us. But when you look at it from God's perspective, they no longer make sense. So when you told me that analogy as a human being, it makes sense. I'm like, yeah, we got to teach this way. We got to teach by pain. We got to teach by, all these things. You got to teach by consequences. But look at that from God's perspective, it goes away. It seems stupid from God's perspective. And that's the problem I think a lot of people have is they think from a human's perspective and make God think from a human's perspective when in reality, God can't even think like a human. Like that's doesn't even make sense to be possible, by the way. So it's just like God would never have to do the things that we are saying in our society we have to do. And if I could put you back 2000 years ago, you would have gave me a different analogy. And that's what's so cool about what I'm saying. The analogy that you would have used 2000 years ago, you would probably look at it like it's horrible right now. Because you would be like, yeah, go toss your son into the savannah and let him get eaten. And he doesn't get eaten, that's good. He's a man now. Like that's how you have to look at these analogies and what we're doing and how the analogies always change generation to generation. But if we're talking about God, God is supposed to be transcendent throughout time, which means anything that God thought at one point in time should be the correct thing at all times. And it should make sense at all times. But guess what? God's all powerful. So God doesn't need to do any of these things. If God wants me to be a certain way, God doesn't have to exactly make me that way. Like I can still do your whole thing. That's God's got to let me do my thing, right? But just like a good parent, it should be in a parameter that is safe. And me not believing in God and going to hell is not safe. That's not safe. So if God allows me to not believe in God and go to hell, that's not safe. So what did you do earlier? You came up with a scenario to how, well, that's not what happens because Jesus can go preach to the dead. So what does that mean though? Because is that for all of eternity now? Right? So it's like we always have to put in these extras for our own understanding to understand something that makes no sense because it doesn't make any sense what's going on. And I think that is what's truly going on with all the sects of Christianity, all the religions. I think it's all of us realizing that all the bullshit that we have ever made up is bullshit and it doesn't make sense. So that's what apologetics are. Every religion has apologetics because the shit that we are saying is stupid. The things that we say God has to do is stupid. And if like, and if we could just admit that, man, like I feel like we could go further down. Like people will always believe, by the way. I'm not trying to convince anyone to not believe. I'm not one of those people. And I said before, part of me still believes in some stupid shit, but I'm never going to allow it to affect others in my life or my life, period. Right? Until I can prove something, I will never allow it to affect me socially. And that's the only thing that I'm trying to present, really, is if you can't prove it, stop living your life like it's real and stop making other people live their life like it's real, because that's not how we live our daily lives. Like me speaking to you, you seem like a nice guy. And I would assume that you actually don't really live your life with all these metaphors that you're giving me. You probably live your life closer to how I live it. You get into your car, you start the keys, you don't do all these metaphor assumptions on why the key starts, or sorry, why the car starts. Like you live in the same physical reality that I live in. Yet, for some reason, when we get to these kind of things, we just pretend that reality is no longer reality and we just start making up shit. Like if you made up to me how your car worked, that it was some fairy that turned it on, would I not call you crazy? But anyways, I'm gonna let you close out, and then because I'm gonna do another closing after we're done. But I'll let you, as between us two, I'll let you have the last word, and then oops, turn my camera, and then I will probably end after that. So go ahead, brother.
Got you. And then I might have just two questions after my closer. It is I won't respond to them. I just want to hear what you have to say. Um, but yeah, just to close. Um, yeah, God. Well, we have reasoning faculties for a reason. As well, not even to bake that into there, but we use our reasoning faculties as humans to make wise and informed decisions. Um, and even if it may not be found in our lifetime, we make strides to figure out and make sense of our observable universe and what we see. Um, but ultimately, the purpose and the virtue of it, that is that possibility that it may be found. Maybe not that in the certainty that it will be found, or else there will be no reason to. There would be no reward. It wouldn't be any way meaningful to find it if it had the possibility of if it had no possibility of not being found. The same way that we see the parable of Jesus talking about the treasure in the field. God is meant to be sought out, and whenever he's found, you found something miraculous and you found something great. I would just encourage everyone to be honest and be genuine with what they find, wherever they land. If they land up being atheist, Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, as long as you're being genuine and honest with what presentation and continuing to seek out what is true, that is going to be that's going to be where you are going to be the most fulfilled. But as for me, I believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life, and anyone who comes to him will be able to join themselves and align themselves with that which is good. So with that, thanks. I guess and then I have
That's cool.
two questions.
Go ahead. Questions. Go ahead.
Okay.
I'll try not to make it into another conversation.
And it's okay. I'm not gonna respond. I just want to hear you out. I just want to listen.
Okay.
So it's a two-part question. So, if God were to present himself to you, and let you know,
I would love it.
Wait. Let you know about him. Yeah, if God presented himself to let you know about him, just to let you know he's real and he cares for you in whatever way, form that you would hear. Would you accept him? And if you didn't accept him, is he just to let you walk away?
Yeah, like I said, if God shows up and people reject God, I think that's fair now. There would still be some other gripes, right? But I think that's way more fair. My only gripe would be, and I feel like no matter what, there would be gripes. That's just kind of how I guess things are. I don't know. But I would say that I wish God could have presented this life to me before I was born. Maybe that might be the only other thing. Is this like, hey, Jay, I got this thing for you. It's called life. You can go there. It's gonna fucking suck sometimes. And honestly, it might suck forever because who knows what I will be, right? And I don't want to be one of those people that pretend just because I'm in America or United States, sorry, and I have an okay life. There's people that live horrible lives, man, and always, and there's no good in their lives. And I'm not going to pretend that there's good in their lives. There's people that actually live non ever having happiness lives. And the fact that that goes on, I think is unfair. So that would be my one gripe, is that I think God should have presented to everyone that, hey, if you want to come here, it's a roll of the dice. You might end up a roach. You know, I'm joking, not joking. You might end up a roach or you end up the happiest person on earth. But since there's no choice, I think that is the main problem. But let's just skip all that. It goes back to my other question, which is still the answer. I think it would be fair if God showed up to everybody and people threw God the middle finger and then they got punished. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay. I guess.
Yeah. Oh, I was
Did I go off
specifically
on the wrong
talking.
thing? My bad.
No, you're good. You're good. No. I think that it is a fair assessment for other people. I was just meaning like you personally.
Well, I'm still people, man. I'm people.
I know, but like, would you be a part of the crowd that throws God the middle finger and leaves?
That.
What would you personally do?
I've always said that I would still have a lot of questions. Like I hope, and I hoped, by the way, let me just say it that way. I hoped when I did believe that God would allow me to have some gripes, because even when I was a real believer all the way, I still had some issues, man.
And I still do too.
And I just hoped that, like, hey, I hope you're not that much of an asshole. But God could be too. God could be an asshole, man. Nobody talks about that. Like God could just be asshole, like really bad. And everybody's scared of that, but I like to talk about that as well. What's your second question? You're gonna get me going again.
That was my second question. Yeah, my first one was if God presented himself to you, and then the second one was would he be just to let you walk away? But yeah.
I guess my problem with that is if God is real, why would somebody want to walk away? Is it maybe it's the things that I'm talking about? Like, here's the
Is that
okay. Here's a caveat to it, right? If the Bible is true, and then God's still real, I have some big gripes. If God is just real and the Bible was just totally wrong, I still have some questions. But if God of the Bible is real, I get why people would be upset.
yeah,
Like the slavery thing is really big for me because it never condemns slavery at all.
yeah.
Like
Um,
it doesn't say one bad thing about slavery, and I would have to argue with God on that one, man.
I,
That
I
that
would.
that doesn't make sense.
Do you mind if I send you some things? Because I would love to keep talking with you, bro. Like I would love to talk, just get your idea on what um certain passages and certain like commentaries and things. Because there's some pretty good like there. I found some comfort in a few answers. Others I haven't really. Eh,
Yeah, I'll be fair,
so much
bro.
value. But
I mean, you can send whatever you like, but I'm not about comfort.
I'm not about comfort either. But
Okay.
I am about.
I just want to be clear. Just because something's comforting to me, that's just not me. Just like I say the stuff I
I
say right
agree.
now, where it's just like, no, I would be pissed at God if the God of the Bible's real. Now, if I have no choice because I don't want to go to hell, and God's like, hey, if you just say, hey, it's cool, and you don't have to go in that pit, I probably would be a sucker and do it.
Yeah. But
Like, I mean, I don't want
like
to
you
burn
said.
it. But if God was like, hey, you can not exist or come with me, and it's still the God of the Bible that condone all that shit, I probably would just not exist. Like
I
it,
got you.
I guess that's the closest answer I can give to you there. Like if I have an option of non-existence instead of supporting this being that allowed all the horrible shit that's in the Bible, maybe. But
Yeah. And would he be
if I didn't have a choice, to me it's like somebody with a gun to your head. You don't have a choice anymore. It's not a choice. It's not a real choice. Anyways, was that your last one?
Yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah. I was just about to say, yeah, it's not about being comfortable. It's about seeing what accounts for all of the data. And like I said earlier, it's not about necessarily what you believe, but it's about what you can justify, and how strong is the justification. So
Okay.
I don't think it's like, oh, something. This is something that may bring you comfort in a degree, but this may offer another perspective that, or provide some data or some insight that you may not have thought of before.
That's what you meant by comfort. Okay. Yeah, that's fine, man. So yeah, I appreciate it, dude. Thanks for stopping in. I'm gonna try to do these more, at least like once or twice a week. So, especially if people show up, obviously that's just how this works. Like I said, we're all selfish beings. So if people show up, obviously I'm gonna be doing more lives. So it's up to you guys
Wow.
on if I'm gonna show up. So feel free to go ahead and follow. I have you on the Discord. I'll keep anybody that friends me on here unless you're an asshole or something. So you'll
Well,
be able
prepare
to.
for a lot more of those if you have any discussion, bro. Like,
Oh no, that's
uh,
cool. That's
even
cool.
though I love my Christian brothers and sisters, they be wilding sometimes. They definitely be wilding sometimes.
Yeah, that's fair, man. So all right, I appreciate you, brother. You have a good one, man.
All right, you stay blessed.
All right, peace. All right, guys, that was a pretty long one, but I enjoyed the conversation. If you didn't, I'm sorry, but I did enjoy it. I enjoy talking to friendly people that want to discuss these things. I am not like other channels. I just want to be clear with everybody. I am not hateful towards believers or anything like that. As long as they're talking friendly, I will be friendly. I will call out some things if I think you're wrong, but I'm not going to be hateful towards anyone because my whole point is for us to all be able to live in this society that we have to live in while believing the things that we believe. It doesn't mean I'm not going to call you out. That's all. That's what I'm saying right there. But this is not a channel that's going to be spitting hate towards anybody. I just want you to know that. And anybody else spitting hate is also not going to be allowed either. I will make sure to get some mods. Way more people showed up than I thought. So I definitely appreciate you guys showing up. Where's my other thing here? Because I want to give a shout out. Are you still in the chat? Somebody, they gifted 20 subs. Where's my stuff? I don't know how to do this yet, so I don't want to not recognize that, by the way. Like, that was legit. Like, if it was you, just say something in the chat, please, because I forgot the name. But, like, 20 gifted subs right off the bat. I appreciate that, man, so much. So, thank you very much. I know I put it in the chat. I said thank you in the chat, but the chat's been going pretty good. So, suggestions are welcome, guys, because this is my first go around doing this. I only have one other live stream that you can see. Well, now it's two because it like this live stream cut short, but this live stream was about 6 hours long, so that's insane. I don't know what I'm gonna do with these. This one, I think I'm just gonna let just go onto the YouTube for people can watch it. After this fact, I'll probably start splitting them up into more sections so people don't have to just watch the whole live. But I definitely appreciate you guys, and let me do my closing for you guys. So, like, I'm really happy about this. So, thank you everybody for showing up. If I'm kind of like blushing and giddy, it's because I really do appreciate um, this kind of a talking and tension. Like, this is like my dream to be able to sit here and have conversations with people. So, if you see me happy, it's because I'm genuinely happy. Cash, if you want to join the call next time, if you look into the description, there is my Discord name. You can send me a friend invite and I will give you a call. So, as always, my name is Jay. Don't forget, throw away your feelings. Wait, I forgot my stuff. I forgot my thing. Oh gosh. Throw away your feelings and question your beliefs, guys. All right, I'm out. Peace.